This Street Fighter movie has to have one of the most ridiculous casts that I've ever seen for a video game to live action movie for an adaptation, because man, they're cooking it first, okay, with Ryu being played by Andrew Koji. This is absolutely perfect. We have Noah Centineo as Ken, which is also pretty decent. Honestly, he looks really good for the character. We continue on with characters like Chun-Li looking great. And even though Guile's absolutely ridiculous, Cody Rhodes fits him perfectly. Then we keep on going, we keep getting more characters. This one's all right, but why is 50 Cent Balrog? What is going on here? Jason Momoa's Blanca, sure. Barely looks like Momoa anymore. Dhalsim, he was my favorite character in the original Street Fighter games. And we have Zangief. These characters look good, okay? Now we're gonna get to more ridiculous territory. E Honda's fine too. Yeah, he's fine. But what the hell is David Dastmalchian doing as M. Bison? I love David Dastmalchian. He came to the place I work one time. He's really cool, but why are you playing M. Bison, bro? Maybe I'm going to be eating my words. Maybe he's going to kill this role. Why is Roman Reigns? why is he Akuma? And why is Andrew Schultz even in this movie? What is going on? Eric Andre too? Man, what is he going to do? This is fine. Kimmy's okay. And I think this is Julie. I actually don't know who this character is. I'm going to be honest. I've never seen this character in Street Fighter. But last but not least, the GOAT. The one above all. Joe. This Street Fighter movie has to have one of the most
Wayne legacy is more than bricks and mortars.
I wanted to save Gotham. I failed.
Why do we falls? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
You still haven't given up on me.
Never.
Your son is a remarkable young man. He has highly advanced cognitive skills. He has more in common with Einstein or Mozart than he does with us. I'd like to work with your son, help him develop the skills he'll need to lead a full life.
It's not going to happen. The world is not a friendly place, and that's where he needs to learn to live.
Dorky pocket protector.
Do you like puzzles? Tell me what you see. Was taken 3 years ago by an undercover agent.
It's the same person.
He was spotted in Tehran, Tel Aviv, and Naples. This guy risks his life uncooking the books for some of the scariest people on the planet. Drug cartels, arms brokers, money launderers, assassins. Who survives this kind of clientele? Imagine the secrets this guy has.
Who are you?
Jason Bly. You're different. Sooner or later, different scares people.
There's people looking for you.
If their secrets get too big, killing you may be the cost of doing business. If you go down this road, you can't go back.
I'm a former forensic accountant.
So who is he?
The accountant.
Like a CPA accountant?
Not quite.
You know, they say the world is safer than it's ever been in the history of civilization. Do you feel safer today than you did yesterday? The world has changed. The war we're fighting today needs a different kind of soldier. We need people with the skills and the attitude to take on threats we don't even know exist.
We need someone who can walk into a tornado and come out the other side like it was a damn gentle breeze.
Jason Blaha here.
May God bless and protect the brave men and women who are carrying out this vital mission.
I do come across as the tough guy, the alpha male, and I hear that whoop.
You spook easily, Starling?
Not yet, sir.
He's past the others. The last cell. I'll be watching.
A killer is on the loose.
Keeps them alive for 3 days. Then he shoots them, skins them, and dumps them.
A rookie FBI agent is on his trail.
She's got real physical strength. Cautious, precise.
A little bit difficult getting everything to feed. But again, whoa.
But in order to track him down, she'll have to match wits
Believe me, you don't want Jason Genova inside your head.
with the darkest of all minds.
Just do your job, but never forget what he is.
Oh, he's a monster. Pure psychopath. So rare to capture one alive.
Jason Blaha is getting called out. He's got one of the worst physiques in history in the fitness industry.
You told me you don't spook easily.
You call this easy, sir?
Missing hand arm.
Man's a raving maniac. Who knows what he'll do?
Generic greetings and welcome back once again to Prison. Andrew Betteridge, prisoner number 13954. Ooh, there we go.
Is that when you guys celebrate the genocide and slaughter of the Native Americans? And I have to tell them, yes, that's exactly what we did. We sit around a table and we stuff ourselves and we talk about how wonderful it is that all the Native Americans were slaughtered and that we killed them with smallpox. That's exactly what we did. In Paris, we killed them here before they killed anybody. And we all thought it was funny and we wanted them to send more. In fact, we've been talking about doing more Draw Muhammad contests here just so we can lure more of them out so that we can kill them. Because in Texas, we think that sort of thing is fun. You know, as far as the Native American thing goes, look, while it was a horrible thing, I, for one, am grateful that it happened, because if it hadn't happened, then I wouldn't have been born. I wouldn't be here. And you know, if 1 million people got to die for me to live, I can live with that. I'm going to shoot him in the gut at 300 yards and let him bleed out for a little while. And then when he's too weak to fight back, me and my friends are going to go pick him up and have a little fun with him. and make him fucking talk before we feed him to the pigs. Some group force-handed hired a street gang to kill me. They put a hit out on me. I'll be more than happy to kill those people when they show up. They might be biting off more than they can chew, because all I do is make ammo and shoot guns all day. Beta cuckold.
Yeah, right on, man.
Not exactly the type of person you're going to try to do a drive-by on. Not going to be there in your best interest.
Hope you had your tetanus shot, bitch!
So you hit the saloons, the bad places, looking for the biggest, meanest lug around, finding me. It's my own fault, nobody else's, that I got confused. I've been having so much fun, I forgot to take my medicine. And that's the whole reason that I've been doing what I've been doing. When you got a condition, it's bad to forget your medicine. That cold thing, it creeps into my gut and tells me one more time it won't let go. This is a bad place, this farm. People have died here the wrong way. I keep coming back to that cop and what he told me. It wasn't until I showed him all those pieces of himself that he said it. Just a name. Rourke, man of the cloth. Could have become president, but he chose to serve God. Then it hits me like a kick in the nuts. What if I'm wrong? I've got a condition. I get confused sometimes. What if I've imagined all of this? What if I finally turn into what they always said I was going to turn into? A maniac. A psycho killer.
Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Astronaut John Blaha reported sighting something unusual.
A Maryland ham radio operator picked up the voice of Discovery pilot Colonel John Blaha speaking on a secret NASA channel.
Atlantis now rolling out on runway 33 at the Kennedy Space Center to wrap up its mission, bringing astronaut John Blaha home after 4 months in orbit on the Russian space station Mir.
Astronaut John Blaha reported sighting something unusual.
One of the NASA transmissions that wasn't successfully sanitized, back in 1989, one of the astronauts on a space shuttle said, "We're still looking at the aliens." It was as plain as day.
The following recording was reportedly intercepted by an amateur radio operator in Maryland. To this day, NASA has neither confirmed nor denied the validity of this transmission.
Humans could develop time machines. It's something people are actively working on. But I would travel back in time 100 million years and hunt dinosaurs. And I would definitely go hunt a T-Rex. Might need a really big gun for that.
And here we finally are. A gentleman. We finally got him. We are exposing Luke Steffens for lying in his sponsored videos. Allegedly, because I don't want to sue him. He has a rich family full of lawyers or something like that. So, Luke, please, it's all good and fun, okay, bro? PewDiePie brofist. In any case, today we're going to be talking about something that I have disliked forever about Luke. And I know that field is large, because honestly, before we start the video, does anyone even like Luke? Because every time I read the comments of his comment section, it's just people making fun of him for being a sellout. People just saying, oh, look at that, Luke's finally playing a game and he's once again getting paid for it. Man, that is sad. But, well, honestly, if your whole existence revolves around only two things, and that is getting money and finding new ways of getting money, I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. But, you know why we're doing this? I'm going to show you why we're doing this. Why we're exposing Luke for lying in his sponsored videos. Allegedly. Again, don't sue me, Luke. And this is it. Because this always rubbed me the wrong way.
When the developers, a studio called Donkey Crew, which is an awesome name for a studio, by the way, when they reached out and asked me if I would like to do a sponsored video to share this with all of you, I agreed, so long as I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say, and they agreed. After all, their whole thing is to...
And there we are. I absolutely despise when people say this. Oh, as long as I am allowed to say anything I want about the game, even if it's negative. That is such a bold lie, by the way. It is disgusting. I can count probably on 2 fingers how many people I would actually trust to say, oh yeah, I took the sponsorship, but only if I was allowed to say the bad things about this thing. There's only roughly like 2 people in the whole world I would trust with that. And Luke, surprisingly enough, is not one of those people. And I have pretty much absolute proof that Luke is lying when he says this. Because this Bellwright sponsorship is never allowing you to say a single negative word about it. And I can prove that because I got a version of this sponsorship, but a lot of people already have this sponsorship. So first of all, let's just go through how absolutely just untrue this thing is. Look at his equipment. This is what Luke has. This is like in the end game, and this takes countless hours to actually get to. And then we have our favorite, Extra Life, who is also known as a complete not liar and all of those things, you know? Who has, strangely enough, exactly the same equipment. Then we have other people, exactly the same equipment. And you know why this transcript page is open? Because all of these videos obviously have points that you need to talk about. Because that's how these sponsorships work. If you don't know how sponsorship works, it pretty much is like this. You get offered sponsorship, and then you have, in some cases, literal points of text that you have to say in, or in other situations, there's points that you need to cover. And this is most likely that you have to say something. Because these videos, half of them, start with exactly the same words of, you start with nothing, which is very suspicious, because how many people honestly are gonna start the video of explaining what the game is by saying you start with nothing? That's very interesting. And the other videos are gonna have a variation of you start with nothing, which is also pretty sus, obviously. But this is just the small fries. You know how I know that Luke is pretty much allegedly, again, don't sue me, Luke, I have nothing. How I know that he is lying when he says that he can say anything he pleases? Well, first of all, if he says that there's no legal repercussions, there are none. He can't get sued. He can't get fined. There's nothing. So he can just say that and feel completely free to do that. And by the way, half of the reason I'm making this video is because Luke absolutely despises being called a sellout. That makes me smile because, again, if you look at his comment section, my God, it's like, does he even have anyone who supports him? Because this is literally every single video where people are just calling him out for getting paid. And this is, by the way, one of the great comments. This is 100% advanced save file they sent you. It takes ages to get this far. Yes, it is an advanced save file. How do we know? Well, if you would actually look at this for a minute, but we're going to talk about this later. This is one of the emails I got. And the reason that I know that he can't say what he wants is because of who this email came from. Because it came from NetEase. Yes, NetEase, the literal gaming government arm of the Chinese People's Communist Party, or whatever the full name is. Yeah, they don't care if you have 1 subscriber, 1 billion subscribers, or you have all the future subscribers in the universe. They will never allow you to speak openly about anything. But I hear you say, if you know anything about this, Donkey Crew is not owned by NetEase. And it's not. Which is the most interesting rabbit hole, by the way, in this whole debacle, by the way, because Donkey Crew is indeed not owned by NetEase. It says so here in the AI summary, and I could not find anything that would prove otherwise. Does NetEase invest in Donkey Crew? No. But here's when where the stuff gets interesting, because you see, Snail Games previously owned Donkey Crew. How is this possible? I don't actually exactly understand, because Snail Games is Chinese. It's a full-blown Chinese company. And Donkey Crew is a Polish games developer? What the hell? How is this even a thing? I don't know. But then Donkey Crew went its separate ways from Snail Games, and Snail Games is a part of NetEase, and NetEase is a part of the CCP. And then we get back to this email right here. The fun email. Yeah. So, if you would like, I don't have the ad, but the ad is absolutely hilarious, because this is what a lot of companies do, by the way, in this industry. They have women always reach out to content creators, because with the women, you're gonna most likely reply, you're gonna do this and that. And it's funny, because this one, actually, no, I do have the best regards, Katniss. So, it's always like, hey dear, they try to be as nice, they try to reel you in, because let's face it, the Chinese wives have literally gotten into the US government, so obviously if it works there, it's probably gonna work here with the spies. I absolutely love these emails. Hi dear, and then at the end, it's best regards, Katniss. Now, I am not showing you from who this email is, but it is from @corp.netease.com, which is, again, literally NetEase. And the funny part is, it has the person who sent this email, their name, and it's not going to be their actual name, but just so you understand how absolutely cringe this is, it's literally from Zhu Zhao. A dude. It's clearly a dude. And then it's best regards, Katniss. That's my probably favorite part about China, okay? Zhu Zhao is sending you an email. Hi dear, best regards, Katniss. So, and by the way, this is about shorts. They supply stuff and things like that, blah blah blah. They will even give you all the things, materials that you need and stuff like that. This is pretty much classic. Raid Shadow Legends does it also, but Raid Shadow Legends at least sponsored me. It's been forever. I actually liked your game. Like, what the hell? Give me money. Okay, Raid Shadow Legends is unironically the only sponsorship that your daddy is gonna take, okay? And, well, since it's NetEase, again, as we can prove from the emails and whatever, there is no way in literal hell they will actually allow Luke to say anything truly negative about it. So Luke may actually say some small, minor, negative things in his review about this, about Bellwright, but the reality is, they are not gonna allow him to say anything that's meaningful. He can say, "Oh, the polygon on that flower is not perfect," and NetEase is gonna be, "We let this slide. We let this slide. This flower does make the CCP look kind of incompetent if it's bad. Okay, we're gonna let this slide this one time." So no. And my suspicion is obviously that Luke is lying every single time that he says that, oh, he can say whatever he wants. I think it's a lie. I have no proof of other cases, but again, this is a situation where it's NetEase. They will never allow you to actually speak your mind negatively about anything that they are involved in, because that's not how China operates. So there we go. Luke is lying, and the funny part is, again, everyone knows this. These comments are diabolical, boys. Like, does anyone even support him? His existence must honestly be sad. A gamer who only plays games when they slightly pay you on a pre-created save. Well, it's pretty good. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's Lukey Poo. 10 out of 10. Bye.
Ho, 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 everybody, and welcome to the very last Jim Cornette experience before Christmas, and we have stuffed our stockings today with letters from listeners, accidental champions, people I pissed off, and a lump of coal from AEW. And joining me for all this and so much more holiday merriment, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. Hopefully he'll find a new organ in his stocking. Be great, Brian Last, everybody.
Aloha, Jim. A pleasure to be here once again. Hanukkah's over. It's now Christmas time. Merry Christmas to all the listeners, and what a wonderful holiday season we want everyone to have.
So, when does Hanukkah? I think I've asked this before, but is it the same dates, or it differs in the dates?
That's right. And it ends Sunday. It ends Sunday as we are recording.
So it would end Sunday, not the Sunday before Christmas, but the Sunday before the Sunday before Christmas.
That's right. And then a few days later is Christmas Eve, and then Christmas, and then you're just waiting for New Year's. And not
so you get like 15 fucking holidays, right?
Yeah.
There's the 12 days of Christmas, but there's 12 days in Hanukkah, but we don't.
8 days in Hanukkah. Don't add 12.
I thought there was 12.
I'll take them if they offer them. That's more gifts.
Well, I thought there was 12 days in Hanukkah was the takeoff on the 12 days of Christmas. But I never got Christmas when I was a kid 12 days in a row. It was just the once. And then my mom said, all right, now, back to real life.
Did you ever do, I mean, it's a big thing now. I mean, as I'm saying this, I don't know if it was as big a thing then, like an advent calendar.
Oh, now, help me.
Where like,
what?
We're starting like December 1st, the days leading up to Christmas, there's like 25 days of, you know, it's like a special calendar. Now they do all these things where like on every day you open it and you get a gift. You pull out a little gift.
Where the fuck are you finding this shit?
It's all over the place. The kids they all love their advent calendars. My son got a little Lego City advent calendar. My daughter got a micro.
When I was a small child, I was lucky to know what day of the week it was. Are you kidding? They didn't give us that shit written down where we could keep track of time. That way they could keep us in school longer. But no, besides you knew when the last day of school was. You could determine that. They'd give you a number, whether it was December 19 or whatever the fuck it was, depending on the way that the days were laid out in the course of the Christmas season. You knew that, and you knew Christmas Eve, and you knew Christmas. And you were too young to give a fuck about New Year's at that point. So after Christmas Day, that was the big one. But no, I didn't get a series of daily presents leading up to the goddamn holiday.
And you didn't have elf on a shelf where your mom would have to wake up and hide the elf every morning, so you'd have to go find the elf leading up to Christmas?
Are you fucking... If I'd have been searching around in places in the house for the shit that was hidden, she'd have whipped me. She's like, you're looking for your fucking presents early, huh? Come here, I'll give you the fly swatter. Get the... No, what? No. There was none of these. You put the presents in the box and you wrap the box into paper and you put the box wrapped in the paper under the tree and you sat and mooned at it, and sometimes you could pick it up and shake it and try to figure out what was inside of it, but then you got to unwrap everything on a Christmas morning. I've never heard of daily presents or calendar countdowns or whatever the fuck you were discussing.
And we still have no idea if the garbage pickup is going to happen Christmas Eve morning. That's the big question.
Oh, good Lord. All right, now hold on.
No, we can move on with the show. I just wanted to say that to you.
No. This was off the air. This was a discussion that you and I had off the air. And we
with our lawyers.
Bring this up.
For the record, with our lawyers.
Yes, on a call with the attorneys. And by the way, not that we were being the defensive part, we're the offensive part. We're very offensive in this legal matter.
That's right.
But the point is you were trying to ask me. You said, "Hey, would your garbage pickup happen on Christmas Eve morning, like December 24th or sometime in that day?" And I said, "Well, that's not my regular garbage day, but usually if the garbage day falls on a holiday, then they will pick it up the following day, and that's not a holiday." And then you blurted out that you asked me what you should tip your garbage collecting people.
No, I asked you what you did tip. I didn't ask you if you should, because we do. I asked you what you do, and you lost your mind.
And I looked at you through the connection here like you had steaming turds hanging out of your mouth. Because how do you have connection or any contact with your garbage people is the question I asked, to know who the fuck you're even giving money to. Why would you give them money? You've got private garbage people of the fine city in Jersey, there in New Jersey there that you live in, does not furnish your garbage collection with your tax dollars. What the fuck are they paying for up there? You've got some kind of private garbage collection service, and they have already informed you that they're open for tipping.
Well, you put it in such a nefarious way. Let me just take a couple steps back. We have people who do the garbage pickup. We have people who do the recycling pickup on different days, the same company. I don't think it's uncommon for a lot of areas here in Northwest New Jersey to have private waste management specialists who handle things. And they leave an envelope, usually wishing you, usually a couple weeks before the holiday, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and they make sure they write their name there. And then you return the favor by leaving them something with the garbage, a little card, and you give them a tip for the year of work. And that if they only broke one recycling bin in the year, that's progress.
The year of work, they fucking come by and they dump a bucket into a truck at the end of your driveway once a fucking week. Apparently, sometimes not even that. How is that a year of work?
First of all, they've already let me know they expect it. So what do you think is going to happen if we're the only family that doesn't tip them? Secondly, I was actually looking on the local community Facebook group where a lot of people post interesting things about the community, then other people just want to post shit anonymously. It's pretty funny. And apparently there were rules because someone said they tried to hand the garbage man a gift and he said, we're not allowed to accept gifts from people. So that's why you attach it to your garbage can. Because they can take that. They can take anything with the garbage, but you're not allowed to actually tip them person to person.
Okay, wait. So I see, instead of like they get their contributions from the human fund instead of from people or whatever, you've got to literally put the money with the garbage so that they can get both. And I told you that for the that I've ever lived here and in most other places that I've never tipped or interacted with my garbage people because they drive a big truck down the road. They stop in front of my garbage buckets. They have a thingy that comes out and picks the bucket up and dumps in the truck, and they set it down, and they go on down the road and do the same thing everywhere else. I would not be able to pick any of these people out of a police lineup, and they have never tried to contact me. One time, like this was 15 years ago, I'm sitting out there in the driveway doing something. It's the summertime. And the guy comes down the road and he picks the bucket up. And when he dumped the bucket, he lost the bucket went in the truck too. He took my goddamn garbage bucket. And he's pulling down the goddamn, and I'm like, hey, you got my garbage bucket. And he's gone. I jumped in the fucking truck and I pulled down this driveway and I took off after him. And by the time I got my keys, he was a little bit ahead of me. But I caught him around the curve by the dairy farm. And I pulled over in front and I waved. I said, hey, you got my bucket. He's like, I know, I can't get it now. They'll have to bring you a new one. Because I guess he couldn't get up in the truck and get the bucket.
When you said I jumped in the truck, I had the funniest thought ever. I thought you jumped in the garbage truck.
No, not the garbage truck. I jumped in my... No, he was already going to... I jumped in my truck, my vehicle, Black Beauty, because he was already going down the road. And caught up with him, but they sometimes apparently they can make that mistake. But otherwise, I've never had any interaction with my garbage people, and the city takes care of these type of things out of the taxes that all us citizens pay.
Do you tip your mailman?
No.
I tip my mailman. Now, there's a limit on how much you're allowed to tip the postman, so you have to be very careful, or they won't be able to accept it. But you got to tip the people who are regularly doing things for you on a regular basis. If they're coming to your house on a regular basis, they get a tip.
He drives up to my mailbox and sticks shit in, or he drives up the driveway and drops the stuff off.
My guy comes to the front door and fights with Swami.
Well, see, now that's a whole different story. But my UPS guy, the regular guy that's so nice to me and puts all of my supplies where I want them in the garage and everything, I just gave him an extra $25 or whatever it was the last time that he was. And see, also, some of these times, these people just come and go and you don't see them. But I've got other things now. I can't sit on the porch and wait.
But again,
for Godot or whatever the fuck.
If you get a card that says, it's been an honor picking up your trash for the last year, Merry Christmas to you and your family, signed Vito and Javier, they want a tip. And everyone else is going to do it. I can't be the only one not doing it. And by the way, they deserve it. They're lifting my... If it's the same people all year, there's a lot of garbage.
Do they physically lift? They don't have a truck that just comes and picks the bucket up and dumps it in? They're physically picking this shit up and everything?
Both garbage and recycling appear to be the same system, which is one driver and then one guy hanging off the back and kind of doing all the grunt work. So it is unfair they're splitting the money. It should really
Wait a minute, what the fuck kind of goddamn happy days world are you living in up there back in the 50s? When I was a kid, they had a guy hanging off the... I haven't seen a guy hang off the back of a garbage truck in 40 years. What is going on up there?
40 years? I don't even know. That's a... I mean, it's a regular thing. And by the way, that's good for the local economy. It's another person getting a job.
It's good for the local economy to have a guy hanging off the back of a garbage truck. When he loses his grip and gets run over, he'll turn into goddamn fertilizer and help make the yard green.
And all that tip money will be really appreciated, wouldn't it?
I'm putting this out to the cult of Cornet. Where do you not see anymore in this day and age, just residentially picking up garbage, a guy hanging off the back of a fucking truck? It's all mechanized and computerized and sanitized, and then the thing just comes out the lift, and it takes the bucket and it puts it in, and boom, and they drive on down, and you never even see the shit. They don't even have to smell it anymore.
And do you tip your garbage man? Do you tip your mailman? Because I think most people, at least the mailman, I think most people do. The garbage man, may be up in the air, but again, we don't have the municipality
The
supplying
garbage
the garbage.
man may be up in the air. It sounds like he's hanging off the back of the truck.
He's in the air. You see, technically, he is in the air.
All right.
You haven't seen anyone hanging off the back of a garbage truck in 40 years. That's a ridiculous comment. It's all over the place.
Well,
it's all over the place.
When's the last time you've been to metropolitan Louisville, Kentucky?
The last time I did, I got a police escort out of town. So I don't know.
Well, all right. See there, then they were pulling the fucking garbage. I remember that night. But nevertheless.
Yeah, that's not a lie.
And you thought for sure she was 22 years old.
Hey, come on now. It had nothing to do with a girl. It was about you bloody heels beating up Tommy Rich and causing the fans to turn on us.
Just a riot. Just a small riot. But nevertheless, I am telling you that I have not only lived here, but I've lived even in Connecticut. I can't recall seeing a guy hanging off the back. And if there's any place where a guy would hang off the back of a truck, it's Connecticut. But all right.
You know, though, in general, New Jersey's the one state still, although there are some people trying to get rid of this, and I hope they never do, that you don't pump your own gas. You stay in your car. Every gas station has to have attendants to pump your gas.
Oh, I know.
Which is the best thing ever. The greatest thing ever.
No, that pissed me off 25 years ago, and it would piss me off even further today, because you got one Gomer Pyle motherfucker in any kind of peak situation. You've got to pull up there, waste the time you could already been fucking filled up and ready to go on getting the guy's attention or having him service you with your pipes and your tubes and whatever, your tank. And it takes twice as fucking long. And then you have to interact with people. Now I get the fucking gas, I'm on a goddamn schedule. I'm doing the Le Mans. I'm in the wrestling business. I can't just hang out and talk to Goober about checking my oil. How about that?
I don't know. I don't have to talk. Again, all I have to do is pull up, hand him my card, and say, fill it up regular.
Well, that's like...
And then he hands it back to me. I don't have to get out of my car into the cold air, which you always complain about. And then I just drive off and go about my merry day. That's exactly how it should be.
No,
that's America.
No, that's
the American dream. Not getting out of your car to have to put gas in it.
All right, ain't that America? You alrighty, John Cougar Lastenkamp. You're assuming in this commercial that you're shooting for this oil company that fucking attendant with his spotless outfit and his bright smile is standing there at that pump instead of inside the fucking hut taking a shit or trying to talk on the goddamn phone back when it had a wire connected to the wall.
No, he's on the phone
to his girlfriend or something, and it is not coming out to give you the I didn't even know about it. The one of the first times I just pulled up and I turned the pump on, began pumping my gas, and was going to go in and pay as normal, and the guy showed up about halfway through. It's like, I got it, buddy. Oh, no, I'm supposed to do this. I said, oh, well, carry on.
Again, another one of the great features of the Garden State, New Jersey.
Yeah, along with people hanging off the back of a truck. Jersey.
Working men, hard-working men who appreciate their Christmas tips. I guess that's the point. This is your show.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I just, again, for someone as financially penurious as you are, to be just handing out money to these... what?
You have to take care of your people.
If some guy just knocks on your door someday and says, hey, I'm the garbage guy, go ahead and give me my tip, would you know who the fuck he was? Does they have to show some kind of credentials? Do they have a Garbage Collectors of America card?
Again, that's not the protocol, and I already know other people in the community you can't have face-to-face interaction.
Here's what's happened. I know what's happened now, and we'll move on. This isn't your garbage people at all. This is a scam. They go around behind the garbage people and they put that card on there and they wait and see if you're a sucker enough to stick some cash on top of a garbage can. And then before the pickup that day, they fucking come around and goddamn snatch the money off. The garbage people don't even know anything about it. You have been scammed and perpetrated against, hoodwinked, bamboozled, shystered even. That's what's happened.
I think Vito and Javier will know all about it.
Well, now we go to the great state of West Virginia. Real quickly, I just thank you, Chad Keeney, the nation's #1 blind vendor. You know, I've talked about Chad before. He sent me all kinds of clocks that talk and all kinds of various gifts. And he stocks all the vending machines. They're on I-79 in West Virginia, up and down the various places, in all the rest stops. And so I probably say Chad Keeney has probably been in more rest stops on the side of the interstate in West Virginia than probably any other human being. So he's got that going for him. Guess what he sent me for Christmas?
Which one of his things that he rips off blind people with did he send you? Let's think.
No, he doesn't. He is blind. He doesn't rip off blind people. He's a blind person ripping off people that can see.
Oh, okay.
That's why we root for him.
What did he send you? Did he send you a piece of wood? But right, hey, I got you this book.
No, I've given you a clue with the man's career here, the man's line of employment. He sent me a box of all of his merchandise, honey buns and bear claws and Three Musketeers and
awesome.
Chips and all the vending machines. I haven't had an iced honey bun in years, and that used to be basically from like 10 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning. All you were going to get at a hotel in the way of anything to eat was chips, crackers, and honey buns in the vending machine. So I haven't had one in ages.
What's honey buns? Like a cinnamon roll?
What's a honey bun?
What is a honey bun? Iced honey. You said iced honey bun?
Well, you put icing on it rather than just the regular honey bun.
So it is like a cinnamon roll.
It's that flavor, that genre, I guess you would say, but it's not a cinnamon roll. It's a honey bun. And then you put icing on it. What's the matter with you?
Just like a cinnamon roll, but yeah. Okay.
Does
it contain cinnamon?
Garbage? You tip garbage men and do not know. No, I don't think it does actually. But you tip garbage men and you don't know what a honey bun is. Differentiate it from a cinnamon roll.
Is it like coffee cake?
I'm starting to lose my patience with you.
I guess I'm gonna have to tip you.
And that's another. Well, we'll talk about that off air. And also, Chad has started a campaign. He has sent me some of the pictures. It's pictures of my travels with heroes and friends, is what he's calling it. He's taken my book, and he's having his picture taken, holding it in front of all the various rest stops along the highways and byways of the state of West Virginia. And he might throw caution to the winds, go all the way into fucking Pennsylvania someday.
Well, good luck. You, Chad. Yeah, happy holidays, Chad, and good luck on your travels, and good luck in West Virginia and Pennsylvania.
I've got this. Hold on, I've got these pictures copied out. Fayetteville, West Virginia, Bridgeport, West Virginia. Oh, north and southbound. So he went both. Chad goes both ways across and Orlando, West Virginia, and there you go. Already, my book is packing on the mileage. All righty. Real quick, before we have any more frivolity, a couple of folks have written in, and I've found, again, some emails from the last few weeks, folks, so it's been busy. I'm sorry if I haven't caught up, but Matt from the UK sent us both an email to the Corny Drive-Thru account, and he's had a rotten year. He lost his mother in the last year, then his dog. As of 10 days or so ago, his aunt was really sick and, might not have made it to this point. And, he's got two beautiful girls, daughters and a wife he's, trying to keep it together for, but sometimes he listens to us and our inane antics to feel a little better, and we wanted everybody to send him some kind of happy holiday wishes. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, etc. Is he in the UK? Do they say happy? He's from the UK. Happy Christmas.
That's right. Happy Christmas to you and your family and your garbage men, whether or not they're part of the local municipality.
Why do they say Happy Christmas over there and Merry Christmas here? Has anybody ever figured that out?
No.
Well, I thought you'd check into it. All right. Anyway, and also a fellow named Guy, as opposed to a guy named Fellow. No, his name is Guy. Sent us an email, and Brian, you know this. The guy lives in Indiana, got a beautiful daughter that's a teacher, a couple of teenagers. One's a freshman in college, and the other one, you know, is graduating or about to graduate, probably high school. And unfortunately, I guess just a little over a year ago, his other son, he lost him in a horrible incident. Let's just put it, without going into all the details, because I don't know if he wants to be public that he wrote us, but it was just, the whole family has been torn up and trying to deal with that for the last year or so. And again, he's got a guilty pleasure. He listens to us at night, Brian, instead of getting on one of those fancy Dan new phone sex lines or whatever, so that he can cheer up a little bit. Well, you know, you're there, you're under the cover, the blankets over your head.
But you got to pay, right? There's a fee attached to that, so it takes away some of the joy, I would imagine.
Well, $1.49 a minute, but hey, what is this? What's $1.49 a minute?
That's before inflation. How much would a 1-900 number be now if it was on TV? $5 a minute?
Oh, probably $900. That would be the meaning of the 900 number. It's good, $900. We'll tell you whatever you want to hear. But anyway, Guy, we hope that we keep telling you whatever you want to hear. And we're so, both of us, Brian and I, sorry to hear about what has happened, and hope you guys get fixed soon as much as possible.
Yeah, we're thinking of you. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And it's an honor to know we could be there for you when you need us. And hopefully there'll be more stupidity in the future. The show will get better. I promise.
Well, see, yeah, but that's almost impossible to go the other way at this point, isn't it? So it's got to get better. Things can only get better. Who did that? Things can only get better. It was some new wave pop. Help me.
What was the song you were just telling me that you hate more than anything else, and I'd never heard it, from '82?
Oh, I love A Rainy Night. What? Okay, you're the music expert. I'm just telling you, in the fall of 1982, Eddie Rabbitt, I love a rainy night, I love a rainy night, I love to hear the music, the lightning, it lights up the sky, and all this bullshit. This fucking country was taking over pop radio and everything. And that's all that they played on any radio station anywhere, especially in Tennessee. And I was telling you before we went on the air that coincided. The first 3 months that I was in the business on the road full time, like 10 weeks out of that, on Friday, I was in Tupelo, Mississippi, and 9 out of those 10 weeks it rained, and I was driving through a goddamn rain thunderstorm, lightning in the middle of goddamn nowhere, Mississippi, trying to get to Tupelo on time for the show. And I love a rainy night. I'm like, fuck you. God damn it. I hate the fucking rain. Why'd you remind me of that?
It's raining here today. But it's day. It's a rainy day.
Okay, now then the cow sills can come in, and it's a little bit more fucking pleasing. Nevertheless, look them up, kids, the cow sills. You'd be surprised. What I was trying to say to you.
You'll be surprised? What does that mean?
You'd be surprised. Well, they were very groundbreaking, and nobody talks about the cow sills anymore. When they talk about the partridge families of the world and the things like that.
That's right. The Partridge Family were based on them.
Yeah, and the rain, the park, and other things.
Who wrote it?
I saw her standing in the rain.
Who wrote it?
She can make me happy. I don't know.
Artie Kornfeld wrote it. Artie was, I think, the youngest vice president of rock and roll at one point. He was one of the 4 partners in Woodstock. And he is quite a trip on social media nowadays. But Artie wrote that song.
I can't tell you how much of a letdown that reveal was. I was thinking it was Neil Diamond right before he wrote the fucking Monkeys hit, or some person that the average son of a bitch might recognize.
Artie Kornfeld. I gave you a good trivia. It was a good trivia.
Your friend
question.
Marty Kornfeld.
I don't know if I'd say he's my friend. I met him a few times, but I don't know the guy.
Well, I'm going to talk to Marty and see what he thinks about you before we go any further.
I knew Michael Lang.
Hold on, let me get him on the phone.
Michael Lang was a very nice guy.
I've got an update, Brian, on what we were talking about when Steve Regal passed away. Well, I can't say when he passed away a few weeks ago. When we found out that Mr. Electricity Steve Regal, the Indianapolis Steve Regal, not Lord William Regal again, but we found out that he had passed away over the summertime sometime, but we just found out about it a couple weeks ago. We talked about his career, and we mentioned that when he and Jimmy Garvin as a team were the ones who dethroned the Road Warriors for the AWA World Tag Team Championship when the Road Warriors were leaving to come mostly full-time for Crockett. And then they both, within approximately the same time frame, Regal and Garvin both left the AWA, and there was what a lot of people have called a phantom title switch to, oh goddamn it, Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig.
Right.
But maybe the match didn't happen. Maybe the match did happen. Have you seen that? Were you included on this email from Max?
I believe I would. Hello, Tamale. He's a frequent guest on John
Max
McAdams'
Tamale.
show. Yeah, he's been on
he says
Stick to Wrestling.
No, now hold on a second. He says an occasional guest of John McAdams. Don't
he's done a great
label
job.
him frequent.
He's done a great job. He knows his stuff. I'll say that.
Okay, but don't say he's frequently on. He'll occasionally drop in, but don't accuse him of being frequently on. For heaven's sake.
I apologize profusely.
So he says, old Max Tamale, Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall beating Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal for the AWA World Tag Team title in Albuquerque, New Mexico on January 18, 1986 has long been considered a phantom title switch. However, that match might have actually happened. The card did happen on that date in Albuquerque. Here's what was advertised for the AWA in Albuquerque on January 18, 1986. And then I got a funny story. This is why I'm actually bringing this up, because this popped me even bigger than the match may have happened. The opening match was going to be Jackson Cromwell Brody versus Hillbilly Tudor. More on this in a minute. The Mongolian Stomper, who was there briefly in the AWA at that time period, against Mike Cook, Scott Hall versus Boris Zirkov, Nick Bockwinkel versus Larry Zbyszko, Garvin and Regal versus Buck Zumhoff and Leon White, and Stan Hansen versus Crusher Blackwell. And he goes on to say, Brody, Tudor, and Cook were local indie wrestlers. Either Tudor or Brody had the promotional license and ring that were used that night. However, he goes on to say, Regal, Garvin, and Hall were all billed as appearing. Also, all three plus Hennig were on the previous evening's card in Denver on January 17. Hennig, Hall, and Zumhoff lost to Stompers, Zukov, and Nord the Barbarian. So basically, he says Hennig wasn't announced for Albuquerque, but by this point, what the AWA announced and what it actually presented were very often different things. Yeah. It's reasonable to think that Hennig was in New Mexico that night and that a title switch happened after Regal said he was leaving, which Regal was going to World Class, and he popped through there before he came to Charlotte. And Max says Garvin stayed a little longer and made at least one more TV taping for the AWA before going to Charlotte. So this is not proof, but it's evidence. And he asked, did Regal, Hall, or Hennig ever comment about it in their lifetimes? Has anyone ever asked Garvin about it? I haven't watched all the shoots that they might have done, but one would think if they had, that we wouldn't still be asking this, would we?
Yeah, and you have to think there was someone who was there that night. I mean, they sold tickets. It may not have been a great amount for Albuquerque AWA in 86, but there were people there. If there was a tag title change, someone would have said something. But he's right about one of the big things there. And it started hurting Vern when Hogan left. But it got worse, and it got at times, I don't know if it was intentionally done, but it seemed like it, billing things and people that weren't going to be on shows. With Hogan, it was accidental. Vince McMahon stole him. He no-showed all those shows.
Well, and then it was on purpose when they found out and kept advertising him, but I get your drift.
But I'm saying the AWA, that's one of those things that I think began to hurt it more and more because they were a disorganized organization with a small office run by Vern.
Well, and that's the thing is that sometimes it, very well could have been malicious, but oftentimes it was just Keystone Cops. We don't know what the fuck we're going to be doing from time to time, and it was falling apart or whatever. So we don't know, but Hillbilly Tudor. Brian, I may have one that you haven't heard. I've told this on a shoot interview 20 years ago somewhere, but this was in January 1986, this AWA show. Well, remember when I managed Dick Murdoch with him two different times, once at 87 and then some in 87 into 88 and then a little bit 89 or whatever. But nevertheless, it was sometime in 1987 that Crockett went to Albuquerque and ran the Tingley Coliseum. I remember like it was yesterday. And the guys, we were on our way to, Crockett was again, he was trying to run Los Angeles at that point. It was, had run there a few times, and we went to San Francisco, whatever the fuck. We're in Albuquerque, and they didn't fly everybody out there because it was still being run like a business in those days. I can't remember which specific show this was. It was at the Road Warriors versus Midnight Express or whatever the fuck, and there's Dusty and there's Flair. So they've got 4 or 5 matches, and they put local guys on a card. Well, it just so happened that Dick Murdoch was the odd guy that ended up working with a local guy. And of course, Murdoch can work with anybody, right? And I'm going out with him, and then I got to come back out later on in one of the main events with the Midnight against whoever the fuck it may be. And so we look at the lineup thing, and he's working with, they didn't call him Hillbilly Tudor. It was Slim the Hillbilly. I think this was another example of Dusty, maybe, or somebody said, the Wee Willie Wilkins thing. Whereas like, no, you're not Blue Thunder, you're Wee Willie Wilkins. Well, no, you're not Hillbilly Tudor. They called him Slim because this guy was like 6'3" and 320 pounds, but he looked like a miniature little John Harris. All of it, a big bulbous stomach and just pimply face. And I get the impression of him as just with a fucking straw stuck out of his fucking face, just the classic hillbilly caricature. And you guys just go about eight minutes, right? Dickie's like, all right, we'll get 8 minutes out of it, and the guy is just, okay, yes sir, Mr. Murdoch, whatever. No conversation. It wasn't like Dick was gonna call a match to this guy in the back, right? So we get out there, and Dick locks up with him, and he has the guy do maybe a headlock or tackles him. He takes a bump. He's doing Dick Murdoch stuff, right, to put the guy over without the guy having to do anything. And then suddenly, the guy rolls as Dick has sold something, and a tackle or whatever, and he's in the corner, and I'm pounding on the mat, and I'm like, oh, Dick. The guy rolls out of the ring and comes around the ring post and is walking straight toward me. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? And he walks right up and grabs my tennis racket and starts trying to take it away from me. And I said, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm not going to give it to him, right? And the thing is, I'm surprised because he is like 6'3" or whatever. He's got I was a little tubby at that point, but he's got 80 pounds on me. He can't get it. I ain't going to give it to him, and he can't get it. And the crowd starts popping a little bit because, and I look, and there's Murdoch. And even though he could make those faces like he, was insane, you could see if he was enjoying something from his cheeks and a twinkle in his eye. And he was wanting to see how this fucking thing came out, right? Because it's dead even. I ain't giving an inch, and he won't let go. And finally, he's like, oh, fuck it. He's got to roll out, and he just blisters the fucking guy and throws him in the ring and just bam, bam, and drops elbow on him and does whatever the fuck he does and just beats him, right? And he came over to me, I raised his hand up, like, what was he fucking doing? He said, I don't fucking know, right? So we get in the back first, and then this guy comes in the curtain. I said, what were you fucking doing? He said, well, I just thought, I don't know what he was saying, right? He was going to get I think his family was there. That was one thing that was mentioned by somebody, is his family was there, and he got the idea he'd take my racket and scare me or chase me or whatever. I said, look, you fucking moron. Nobody called for you to fucking chase me, take my gimmick away, or anything else. I got to go back in the fucking main event with the fucking tag team champions or whatever, and you're out here. You're in the ring with a fucking legend, one of the best workers in the world, who is graciously offered to go 8 minutes with your fat ass before he beats you, and you fucked that up. You went into business for yourself. You tried to get my gimmick away and couldn't, so you're fucking buried. And then he just has to beat you because what the fuck's he gonna do now? You've changed the fucking mood. So we didn't even get the time. Dumb shit. And we just walked, and that's the last I've seen or heard of the hillbilly in Albuquerque until he was on this fucking card.
And you think it's the same guy?
It's gotta be. Because either Tudor or Brody had the promotional license and ring that were used that night. How many big fat fucking hillbillies that would be named Tudor or Slim would be booked in 2 major cards in a fucking same town unless they had the ring or the license?
How many times did that ever happen where you were booked against someone who you never really worked with before and you didn't arrange anything, and all of a sudden they start coming for you and they have an idea in their head about something they're going to do?
What's it? I'm trying to think if that have been the only time necessarily. How well we talked about Buzz Sawyer, potato in my face.
Right. That's different.
But no, that's the thing. It's not about did we have it set up beforehand. It's about is it applicable? Does it have its place? A lot of times the boys would call, drop down, dive out, chase corny without me knowing it. They might give me the fucking, Iggy by giving me the eye, like here he comes or whatever. But I know what's happening when it's being set up. I see it ahead of time, so I'm ready for it. But it's about some fucking local guy working with one of the biggest stars in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Murdoch, West Texas territory, working with a goddamn legend, with the fucking top manager on national television, who is going back out in the main event, just doesn't go into business for himself and go after the goddamn manager. That's bullshit indie stuff. There's levels to this, as the kids say. So no, because we were always working either with top guys where it, wasn't any big deal for them to stomp my hand or chase me around or fucking play tug of war with me or whatever the fuck. And this is entertaining spots for the audience, or it was guys that knew not to fuck with me because they weren't at that level yet, and they just get heat on themselves with the booker or anybody else. Or like, remember when the New Breed flipped Bubba Rogers' hat off at that spot show, and I had to have him beat them both up and throw them out of the ring before they started the match so that we could then beat them. But that was another example. It wasn't me, but it was Bubba, but that was not their place. So that in proper, professionally organized promotions, the pecking order of guys to the fans was protected so that they would see who the top guys were. Anyway, Hillbilly Tudor, I wish him well. It's been almost 40 years. My God, the physical state of him then, he can't still be alive. But if he is, maybe his friends will tell him what a dipshit he was that night. Speaking of dipshits, can we talk about this now, Brian? Because I gave myself a Christmas present this past week and didn't even realize I was doing it. And, well, I shouldn't say gave it to myself. I enabled someone else to give it to me. Suck it to me, baby. But I pleased myself because I fired people up on Twitter again this past week. And, well, actually, it was just about 48 hours ago this whole thing started. And you and I had covered the news about Mick Foley, saying that he was not going to renew his contract and that he was withdrawing from making any appearances on behalf of the company, while I believe the quote was, they were coddling the current presidential administration. Was coddling the word, I think, or coddles? Which tense was he using?
I don't remember.
Nevertheless.
Coddling, I believe.
Coddling, well, whatever. But nevertheless, we covered that because it came up as we were actually recording the last program that we did. And then when we got finished doing the show, I was looking through Twitter and found that, because this not only made the wrestling sites about Mick, but made the mainstream sites, whether it be Sports Illustrated or People or the TMZs of the world, whatever, everybody's on this thing. And I'm looking through some of those, media outlets that have covered this and blah, blah, blah on Twitter. And I see this one fucking guy, right? I don't know why. He's got one of the check marks. So I guess that's why I was able to see him. But he says, Mick Foley is known for taking more hits to the head than any pro wrestler, and Mick Foley is also the most liberal pro wrestler, so draw your own conclusions. And I'm like, who is this fucking guy that he's going to talk about Mick, who actually has the goddamn... Because that's... When I tweeted... Also, at the same time, I just tweeted congratulations to Mick and that I admired him and that I wished all the boys had his backbone and his morals. I got like 40,000 of the fucking little hearts that the kids like. And so apparently a lot of people agreed with it. But this fucking guy, so when he says draw your own conclusions about Mick's brain damage, I wrote him back. My conclusion is he's smarter than your entire weirdo fascist fucking cult and has principles. Imagine how damaged your brains must be to still believe the depth of depravity and bullshit you have mired yourself in. Now, see, I thought that was pretty, because I didn't hardly cuss at all. Is bullshit still a cuss word, Brian?
I don't know. I just saw Congressman Michael Alger say it on CNN like once an hour, every hour the other day, so you're allowed to say it on the news at least now.
So I didn't even use the profanity, right? And then I do as I usually do. When we finish recording, I get off fucking Twitter. I went down, I started unpacking the Christmas decorations, right? And I don't know whether it was later that night or even, it might have been first thing the next morning when I got up. I turned the Twitter on. And Jesus Christ, it's just flooded thousands. And there's people fucking maligning me, and there's people arguing with the people maligning me, and then blah, blah, blah. And I've been spammed by I got the bots out again. Is what I'd remember when I do something that apparently attracts a certain level of attention, I get the bots. But in this particular case, the one guy that I'd replied to apparently is one of the fucking, he's not a main piss boy. He's not a main piss carrier where he gets to drink it. He just gets to hold the maggot piss to keep it warm. but he is one of the main Twitter guys for the maggot world. And he has sicked the rest of his bots and various assholes on me. Though, you know, you can tell the right wing, I don't know whether they're actually real people, but there's somebody behind them. But they've got Patriot in their name and flag in their thing, and they follow 17,000 people. It's not even like the ones with the lots of numbers where they just make up like a bunch of accounts with 14 fucking followers or whatever. This is the heavy duty stuff where they all get together and they say the same thing. Complete bullshit, but it's the same thing. And because they follow all these people and these people are gullible and they think they're real or they think they don't have fucking ulterior motives, they think it's a bunch of people saying that shit. It must be real. Oh my God. Oh my God. Brian, his name is Jack Posobiec. I might as well just say Piss Boy. But he's the Pizzagate guy. He is one of the primary guys that convinced people that Hillary Clinton was running a pedophile ring in the basement of the pizza parlor in New Jersey.
Oh, get out of here. That was years ago. This is the guy behind it?
I swear to God, look him up if you want to. I don't know how to spell.
I don't want to.
Well, I'm still not sure exactly how you spell it or say. I've never heard his name out loud. I thought he was some random guy on the fucking Twitter, right? He's one of the random guys on the Twitter. And he is, again, he's AI'd because we don't coexist in the same social circles, right? As me and Jack Pissboy. So he doesn't know what to say about me. So he's AI'd like insults or whatever, I guess. And so it's either a 35-year-old VHS of me using inappropriate language in a parking lot while discussing a fight I was in, or the same shit that the cosplay wrestlers tried to do 4 or 5 years ago when they tried to me too. And boy, that turned out well. Everybody ended up going underground or being canceled themselves for being sex pests that was trying to fucking pin all this shit on the Cornette family. And he tried to insult Stacy, but he called her the wrong name.
I did see that. Someone sent me that. They're like, how come you've never talked about Jim's wife, Janice? And I was like, who? I don't know who that is.
Well, also because they're also trying to, they're hitting me with you've had too many steroids. Or I saw one guy said, you've taken too many guitar shots to the head. Like they thought, okay, wrestling guy. What can we say about wrestling guy? Yeah, because I'm a noted steroid abuser.
One DDT too many.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've been noted for my string of concussions. But that's the thing is that it's exposes again what I can get back to Piss Boy in a second, but just this whole framework of shenanigans they've got going on. It exposes what a scam it is because suddenly these supposed just real people living their lives have to jump in en masse to slander anyone who has the opposing viewpoint from the Orange Hobgoblin and or his minions. And it's because of Piss Boy that, and his ilk, as Mama Cornette used to say, that people do this because they just flood when you hear this guy's resume, they flood the airwaves with just this bullshit. And if enough people, or alleged people, repeat it over and over, then these gullible people that want to believe this shit anyway, they get swept up in it. But apparently this guy went on some kind of string. He did several things. He tried to insult me, and he got all his minions to retweet the same stuff. But also he wants to debate me in Phoenix. apparently,
Phoenix.
I guess they've got something like, I don't know, the gathering of the Juggalos, but they do it in Phoenix. I don't know what the fuck it is. But what is it with all these? They want to debate. How can you debate somebody that speaks like they're on fucking hallucinogenic drugs? Wait, here's the pizza parlor debate. Okay, Jack Pussboy, your opportunity. Yes, I believe that Hillary Clinton is operating a child pedophile ring out of the basement of a pizza parlor in New Jersey. And Mr. Cornett, the opposing viewpoint? No, she's not. How is there more debate? You can't debate these people because it's not rooted in reality. And they will not admit it. And so, at any rate, he wanted to debate me. He said he would. Here's how closely he knows me. As I said, we travel in many of the same circles. He'd offer to pay for my plane tickets. Like anybody'd ever get me on a fucking plane. Because he knows I've been broke since the 90s.
Where's he getting all this information? Is he talking to Janice?
I don't know. Yeah, apparently the barbed wire bat.
Fucking Janice Cornett, always causing trouble.
So, when I read this, I thought, okay, I've never heard yet anybody say this guy's name out loud. And so I'm not going to be an ignorant idiot like he is. I'm going to go to more learned people for my rebuttals and or comebacks. I'm going to ask the cult of Cornett. So I asked basically in a tweet, I said, cult, this fucking turd blossom has a problem with me and Mick Foley not liking his, President Schittler, whatever. Can you please tell me what's wrong with him so that I can pass it along to him? Everybody had a goddamn different fucking complaint about this guy that responded. Again, there were some of the right-wingers that were still limping through, but mostly it was like a rib, because I'm like, wait a minute, is this the same guy? Do they think I'm talking about a different guy here? Would you like to hear some of the resume of the guy that's telling me and Mick Foley that we need to modify our behavior?
Yeah, because actually I don't know who this guy is. I saw you were having this fight. Some of the listeners sent over the Janice tweet because I thought it was funny. But I don't know who, other than the Pizzagate thing, which again, I didn't know his name was associated with it. I don't know who this is.
See, and that's why I say this is a Christmas present to me that he has given me, because
is he a podcaster?
He gets his message out. He does these things. He drums up his own publicity. You'll see here in a second. He does fake shit to get reactions out of people, whatever. But he's one of the big ones. That Trump himself listens to this guy because he's saying good things about him. And the easiest way to circumcise Donald Trump would be to kick one of these fucking guys in the chin. So basically, because he has now magnified my message to the real hardcore maggot audience, there is not only do they know what I think of him, but there is a good chance that Donald Trump himself knows that Jim Cornette thinks he's a piece of shit. And this is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. I'm telling you. But listen to this. This guy that's telling me what we all need to do. And you can go on the internet, Jack Posobiec, whatever the fuck, it'll pop up. The variety of news outlets have reported on his outrageous conduct. He's been called, labeled, or accused of being a white supremacist, an anti-Semitic, a neo-Nazi, a Christian nationalist. He's definitely a noted liar. He told people that the 2020 election was stolen. He was one of those people. He was one of the main proponents of Pizzagate, and then when a guy went in and shot the place up, he tried to backpedal. He's been called a potential Russian asset or propagandist. I'm telling you, because of go read all this in detail. Listen to what the internet's saying. I'm reporting on what people are saying about this son of a bitch. He was in the Navy, but he's an ex-Navy guy, and they suspended his security clearance.
When he was in the Navy or after he left the Navy?
Well, as a number of years ago when he started, I guess, doing all this nutty shit. And basically, the whole thing is the pattern. He's a right-wing attention whore that starts trouble in public places, sticks himself in the middle of stuff that doesn't concern him, and tries to act like he's important to ride the gravy train of all the grifters that have sprung up to support the Mango Mussolini and the whole criminal regime they've got going. And they have suckered people into believing not even Republican bullshit anymore. I insult the Republicans by the maggot bullshit, the Trump bullshit. He's on a couple of lists of extremists. I think one with the Southern Poverty Law Center, for fuck's sake, because he's had ties to the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. He praised the January 6th insurrectionists. Philadelphia Magazine called him the king of fake news. I've just compiled this.
This is a hell of a list of accolades here.
This is not exactly, oh yeah, it was a concerted attempt by two guys in their basement to slander me. No, this is everybody, every time that he reveals his public statements, deeds, words, or actions, he has offended somebody. And he apparently cheated on his wife on Bumble. Do you have any idea what the fuck Bumble might be?
I think it's like a dating site or a dating app.
Somebody tweeted me his picture of him with his cell phone, taking a picture of him in the mirror with a thing that said to Bumble and whatever the fuck. But he's like the Dan Aykroyd skit, Saturday Night Live. I've mentioned it's one of my favorites, where Aykroyd is the talk show host that wants to be controversial. The name of the show is Talk Back. Call 555-1212 and talk back to me. And then they sit and stare and the phone doesn't ring. And then he says something else a little bit more inflammatory, maybe of a political nature, and talk back to me, and nothing. And then he escalates it a notch on some capital punishment, and the phone rings and it's a goddamn wrong number. And then finally he says, killing puppies, I'm for it. That's all these fucking idiots are doing. They'd be nobody except they've hooked their wagons to this grifting gravy train. And they're helping poison our country, which obviously at this point, I think there should be a water advisory. Don't drink the shit all over the country now. Our well has been poisoned to this extent. But they're all in on it. And after a day or so, I tweeted him back, thank you. Because again, now I can at least believe when I lay my head down at night that pig-faced criminal piece of shit that should be rotting in jail, but for this whole disinformation campaign, knows that I see through his bullshit. That's the best Christmas present that anybody ever gave me, and I don't want or care for any of these people that he has summoned upon me to be my audience, but I do appreciate the hatred and vitriol, because again, if these people don't like me, I'm doing something right. I'm telling the truth and doing the right thing, like Mick Foley. Unlike you and your ilk, I don't need to blame the immigrants or the minorities or the gay people or the trans people or the Democrats or the fucking Polish people or anybody else for being a failure and a loser and a liar and a grifter like you and your cronies have cornered the market on. You keep carrying the piss, I'll stick to Sprite Zero. Thank you very much, Piss Boy. Should we call for him if we need him? I think he's off of me now because a bunch of people who tweeted him the Sean Waltman rule. And since apparently he's dug in at least far enough to know that I don't freak out when people talk mean about me on Twitter, he won't. It was like 15 the first day, and then he just won't get back. Do you think our relationship is over, Brian?
I don't know, because you really wonder how self-aware he is or isn't. Obviously, not limited to whoever this person is, and I don't know, I'm assuming they create content or do something like that, but there's an entire industry of people who create content and say things they know or think are wrong, but they also know where the money is. You know, there's a lot of crackpot radio hosts, podcasters, that if they came out and said, you know what, I've been misled, or I told you the wrong thing, or you know what, some of this stuff I've been saying is really stupid because I realize I can manipulate all you. Now please listen to my sponsor who will sell you seeds to replant life when everything ends. It's all a fucking bullshit factory. And, you know, it kind of says something. He exposes himself when he's clearly looking for attention from you. He's looking for some kind of online fight from you. But he also has no idea who you are. And when he's trying to fight back, if he's giving you facts that are completely wrong and made up, like Jim's wife, Janice, I've heard people insult Jim for years. I've never heard that. So if that's what he's doing to Jim, what else is he completely batshit wrong about? Just because he's looking for attention momentarily, whoever this is.
Well, again, if you go on, I guess he probably even has a staff also, and that's why I said I think he AI'd some of the insult or just the Google search, whatever it is that they do, and whatever's the top 4 things on the internet comes up or something. But if you go to his Wikipedia or any of these online articles about him, you'll go through 15 paragraphs of shit that he has made up or lied about, or controversies he's inserted himself in, or, you know, the whole right-wing thing. And I guess this thing in Phoenix is where they have a bunch of the really, maybe is it an outlaw right-wing thing where they don't have the really major stars, but just a bunch of these YouTubers and shit stirrers. But they live in that world somehow, and they have staffs that spread out and try to tamp down any dissent on the social media where I guess they can get the teenagers. I don't know. But again, I appreciate the attention for that audience because it opens up a whole new world, Jack, to exactly what I think of them. And I wish that I had more personal insults to give, but when you look at this fucking guy's resume, my God, it's like, I'd be like kicking a dead horse in the desert if I start personally insulting him after everything else that everybody has said on the internet. He makes Haman sound like a goddamn guy with his hand on a Bible.
I guess you won't be going to Albuquerque. Or not Albuquerque, where was it? It was...
Phoenix. Albuquerque is where the AWA tag team taught, yes.
We'll send Hillbilly Tudor. That's right.
Hillbilly Tudor and stuff. I mean, he sounded like he'd get over with that crowd. But anyway, we'll keep everybody up to date if I've inflamed any more of the fucking lunatics. But again, and one more bravo for Mick Foley. But I guess we should switch now to some modern wrestling action, Brian, because I didn't jot down their names. It's just so preposterous that it happened. But basically, the other night on NXT television, the women's title changed hands, even though they didn't really want it to or plan for it to. It just did somehow. Like, it was gone, and it's gone. They changed the belt, especially on a show before Christmas, where they'd already taped stuff through the holiday break, and the girl challenging the championess. Is that how you say it, championess?
And you do know the champion. The champion was Blake Monroe, a.k.a. Mariah May from AEW.
There you go. Oh, Maria May from AEW. Blake Monroe, who they're pushing to try to be a star. I haven't actually heard it's working out real well. But what's the other guy? Thea Hale.
Thea Hall, apparently.
Thea Hall.
Well, no, it is Hale. It is Hale. You're right. It is Hale.
Well, now you change your story. Try to make me see.
I've never seen this
campaign
person.
of disinformation. Trying to make me look.
The eye looks like an L. They're next to each other. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Put your glasses on, Paul. Anyway, Thea Hale came down like a whole goddamn thunderstorm on Blake Monroe and just squashed her and beat her 1, 2, 3 for the women's title, and they've had to just change all of their shit, and they got mad and they've instituted new policies. I thought we'd just conversate about this for a second, because I again don't understand how these things happen. I watched the move in question, and when Blake Monroe was laying in the middle of the ring waiting for the move to be delivered upon her, Brian, would you say it was a fair description when I say that old Thea Hall jumped up on a second rope, I believe it was, and sprung backwards, and instead of a splash where you splash somebody with your stomach, she's splashing with her back? Would that give everybody the mental picture properly?
I guess that's I guess that's the way to describe it.
And she landed on old Blake Monroe as stiff as a goddamn blue vein throbber on 150 milligrams of Viagra. She landed on this girl, whoom, with her entire body weight, and her feet were up in the air. And then when she finally came to some rest on the mat, I can't remember whether she hooked one of Blake's legs or not, but she was hooking because it was supposed to be a false finish. And she hooked it up enough that between the fact that she had just knocked the breath out of Blake Monroe, and then she kind of hooked her, the referees have been told to count it as a shoot, and they counted it. 1, 2, 3. And also again, somebody said that it looked like Blake still tried to struggle to get her shoulder up. It's close enough for rock and roll, but Jesus Christ, how do they keep doing this shit?
And we've just seen a series of things over the last year where the referees had to stop a 3 count because the person didn't kick out. I think was it Nia Jax and Jay? I forget who it was. It was one time in AEW, it was one time in WWE where the referee stopped. Here, the referee didn't stop. You could argue she got her shoulder up. It looked like she tried to do something.
Well, but at the same point, I'm not blaming the referee here. And I'm not blaming the unconscious victim. In this case, I swear to God, I don't care how green you are, you ought to know when you have landed on somebody in altogether too forceful fucking manner. I've done it a time or two, 35 years ago, in all of those crazy 6-man tags and things involving where I try to do something and somebody would boom and oh shit. And it's been done to me a time or two. And I don't know, this could have been avoided instead of sticking exactly to the script or to the plan that they had laid out. If when Thea came off the ropes and landed with all her weight on that fucking girl, hard enough to knock the breath out of her, that instead of just immediately scrambling her up for a fucking cover and a pin, because that was what the spot that was called, she might sit up and gloat for a second, like, ooh, I just did that, and turn around and look over her shoulder and see if her opponent's still breathing. And then she might have turned over and just covered her the other fucking way, and she would have had a chance to say, are you all right? And the referee knows what the finish is supposed to be, and that ain't it. So the referee is going to be looking for a kick out, so it wouldn't take much effort for the girl on top to have helped Blake kick her off until she got her breath back. But instead, she didn't even look over her shoulder at that girl. She just landed the fuck on top of her and then hooked her leg up or head up or however she hooked her, and just she was still looking upwards away from the girl she was covering. So, Brian, have you ever had, it's an old saying, had the breath knocked out of you, but have you ever legitimately, or the wind, have you ever legitimately had that happen to you?
I think so, yeah.
You can't speak.
Right.
There's no way you can speak. You can't really get up. It's not that you're paralyzed, but you don't have the capability until you can rectify that situation and start breathing again to really do much of anything. But you would think that if she'd turned over and covered her, she'd tell by the look in her eye or the limpness in her body or whatever the fuck and go, oh shit, okay, I'll do a roll up. But that's, to me, that's what I saw. It was just like, Jesus Christ, she didn't care, because they're just so used to potatoing each other. And how many times do I talk about the matches that I do watch from either company? Oh, so-and-so just came off the top and just landed square on so-and-so with their ass or their knees or their full body weight or whatever the fuck. I don't know how there's not more broken ribs, collapsed lungs, hernias. I could go on. I've never seen so many people landed on in 50 years of watching wrestling as I have the last two. But what are they going to do with they changed the policy too, right, Brian? They're making them stay till the end of the show.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Have they?
I believe that because apparently stuff that creative had to hurry and scurry and, figure out should we reshoot this or change this or is this going to work now?
Oh, because they were about to do a holiday break, weren't they?
Yes, yeah. And so they had stuff already done and they had to, I guess, pull shit that wasn't going to work or whatever. But now I guess they're going to have another match and who knows, they might do a flippity flop or they might try to swerve everybody and keep it on Theo, whatever the case. But they've also said that all the talent has to stay till the end of the show now. Okay. I think they're mad because they could have reshot something after that happened, but whoever was in it had already left the building. But I don't know when that used to be a Vince thing long ago, 30 years ago anyway, on TV. Everybody stays till the end of the show and in case you're needed for something. And in the early years, 93, 94, I was at syndicated TVs at 12:30 in the fucking morning. But
what was it like before that? Like when you were with Crockett or Mid-South, what was the rule in terms of when you could leave a show?
Well,
was it just after your match you have the option to leave, or what was it?
No, with Watts, he would every once in a while he would remind everybody that it was highly suggested that they stay and watch all the matches, because if they were in the preliminary matches, that's the way they would learn, see what the main eventers are doing. The main eventers watch the early matches, so you don't do anything that's already been done in a goddamn match in your match. And there were exceptions for major names or people who had travel difficulties or whatever the case, but that was the rule there. With Crockett, on the house show, and also with the house shows, the heels always stayed to help the top heels fight their way back through the crowd after the main event in Mid-South. With Crockett, you could leave if you weren't going to be needed or whatever house shows, but there was really, you almost couldn't leave a Crockett TV if you were a top guy before the thing was over with. They taped 2 1-hour shows in live to tape in real time, and we were on both of them, and by the time you change your clothes, the goddamn thing's over with. So I'm just saying, it was always suggested that the underneath guys should stay to watch the main eventers and learn, and the main eventers were there anyway.
And with NXT, the best comparison may be OVW. What was your rule there?
Oh, the same thing. You need to stay and watch what the fuck's going on for the reasons. If you're on first, you need to know what the guys on top are doing and vice versa. But again, we had to break that because sometimes guys would have to go to their real jobs waiting tables. So this was the early days. But you know what they ought to do, Brian, to prevent the unscheduled title changes, to keep that from happening?
No, what's that?
They ought to put a set of Raycon earbuds in all the guys and girls' ears when they go out there, and they could tell them every move to make in real time, right as it was happening. Sort of like a wrestling version of Twister. They could just broadcast, okay, lift your left arm, place it over her right shoulder. And that way they could actually lead them through this thing, like leading a horse to water, but then not making them drink. But what's Aubriette have to do with this? What about the Raycons, Brian?
Well, what about them?
You think they could talk to them through the Raycons? Because we already established that those ones that go in your ear, they won't come out even if you're pile drived or drop kicked or hip tossed or body slammed or suplexed or all kinds of stuff, even arm dragged. And now the essential open earbuds are here for the holiday season, where they hook over your ear and you can listen to all the great high quality sound that makes it sound like you're in the studio with Alan Parsons when he's mastering Dark Side of the Moon. But you can also hear the honk of the horn of the oncoming car or train or bus or whatever is about to smite you, because it's the holiday season and these things happen. Brian, you know, every time I get a package from Raycon, Stacy goes crazy because she's got all the kinds of earbuds. As a matter of fact, she figured out a way where she could take 4 pair of earbuds, put them in various places on her body, and have quadraphonic sound.
That's not how that works.
It's amazing.
That would be amazing, but no, that's not how it works.
The kids all over the neighborhood are coming over for the Christmas carols. They really want to see that. But folks, I'll tell you, right now the essential open earbuds are here for the holiday season. They're selling fast. Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. All you got to do is go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON.com/JCE Open. JCE Open, like open sesame. I open you up to this massive 20% discount. You are completely vulnerable now to saving this money because I have opened you like the petals of a flower. Essential open earbuds, 20% off. Buyraycon.com/JCE Open. Don't get run over by a truck, but still have great sound quality. And with 4 pair, you can be quadraphonic.
Again,
and don't forget the rotating ear hook, which that thing could be fun at parties.
Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we focus on the main thing here at the end of the year, Christmas time, and of course, thinking about all the people we love and all the wonderful gifts we give them and ourselves. I love Raycon earbuds. We have a pair here for me that I've been hiding from my family because they've stolen my previous pairs. Everyone in the house has one, and maybe, just maybe, the referee in NXT was listening to music instead of the instructions from the back, and that's what led to the problem. But these are great earbuds, and we think the listeners will love it, and we have a great deal for them. Professionally, Jim.
Yes, I'll tell you what, here's another thing. It turns your family into thieves because they'll steal your Raycons from you. Well, they did.
There's no promises.
Stacy's,
no promise.
Stacy's sister stole some of her Raycons from her because she was so fired up to have them. And as you've got to guard these things with your lives, folks. Some people, it's like a Popeye's chicken sandwich. People have lost their lives. But right now, the essential open earbuds, 20% off this holiday season. Go to buyraycon.com/JCE Open. All righty, Brian. Well, now it's time for that recurring segment on the program that we call Comics Corner. Because several people wrote when we were talking about Steve Jeppe and the museum he had in Baltimore with the incredible multi-millions of dollars worth of comic books alone, and just this warehouse. It was packed floor to ceiling, 4 floors of movie posters and toys and every kind of pop culture thing in the world, right? And Lauren, Baltimore Lauren, who we had read an email from, sent me another email and sent pictures of the place that she had taken. And I took a lot also when I was there, but apparently they changed things around. They would move things and have new things come in. When I was there, the Detective 27 and Action Number 1 were right there in the case with the All-Star 4 and whatever, but she had pictures. There was a Sensation 1 and all the just incredible stuff, right? We were trying to figure out how this goof started working at a comic book shop, became a multi-hundred millionaire, and had all this fucking money, right? And the only thing that we could agree on with anybody was this Diamond Comics distribution deal. Apparently, that's how he made all that fucking money. And we got an email from Jeff. I don't know where he's from. He didn't say, but it was so detailed that, to be honest, that would be a separate podcast to read this and react to it, etc. But he tells the whole story. But our friend Mark Cole up in Maryland, who I used to live in Colorado, but he moved. He sent a more digestible email about this, but Brian, this is basically how this guy made all these hundreds of millions of dollars. He said Jeffy started Diamond in the early 1980s to be one of the early comics direct market, which had started in the late 1970s. So in the old days, and back when I started collecting, and Brian, I don't know, have you ever seen the old comic books where they would be sold or marketed or advertised a back issue as 3/4 cover or 2/3 cover or even coverless?
Yeah, I've seen
where
that.
you'd see those. Well, when comic books were distributed through the newsstands and the stores that had magazine racks and etc., if they didn't sell, if the newsstand tore the masthead off or the logo or the cover and sent it back, they could get refunded for the goddamn comic book that didn't sell. And then you could turn around and dump a box of those or whatever. That's how they ended up in all the flea markets. But nevertheless, then this direct market for comics, this Diamond distributor started distributing directly to all these new comic book specialty shops that were popping up. But this was on a non-returnable basis. So basically, when comics shifted from being mainly a newsstand product with returnable stock to comic shops where stores bought their comics wholesale, they were non-returnable. Throughout the 1980s, Diamond bought out other distributions and became one of, if not the biggest distributor. In the mid-1990s, Marvel bought out a distributor called Heroes World and made their books exclusively through them. As retaliation, many other publishers signed an exclusive deal with Diamond, including DC, Dark Horse, and Image. When Marvel went bankrupt in the late 90s, they closed Heroes World, and they had to go back to Diamond. So this left Diamond with a near monopoly in the distribution business, and once they had the near monopoly, the company grew at a rapid rate. And apparently Mark worked at one of the early Jeppy's comic shops, because in Delaware they were an early Diamond account, and the Jeppy knew the owners there. But
sounds like the Vince McMahon of comics distribution.
Yes, he just ran them all out of, and then there was also, as Jeff's email went into, he was also buying and selling rare shit. And with the stuff that he had, I can't imagine what went through his hands with the selling. And then he's apparently, allegedly, as our friend Baltimore Lauren says, donated much, who knows if it's all, of that collection to the Library of Congress for a big tax subsidy, not subsidy, but a break, cut, whatever. You see what I'm saying. hundreds of millions of dollars from distributing comic books.
And by the way, that's the company that went bankrupt. They had Diamond Select Toys they were doing under that distribution plan, and they went bankrupt. Right now, they're in the middle of it.
But I bet you that he's still got all his personal money. I just bet.
And personal comics.
All righty then. We also have an update from another one of the learned listeners. Remember this past summer when I took the trip to the Jack Pfeffer collection in Notre Dame with my old friend Tom Burke and his old friend Chris McMahon, no relation, and my older friend Bobby Fulton, and all of us were old. And, you know, we had talked about some of that on the program, but there's a fellow named Corey Santos, I think we mentioned him before, that is writing a biography of Jack Pfeffer. And I can't wait, and we will obviously keep the folks surprised on that. I can't wait till I get a chance to read it. But he gave me some incredible background. Chris McMahon did in an email based on this article that Corey has written about IT Flatto. And apparently, I won't read the whole thing because then again, this is a long historical document. But remember, we were making fun of his name. And I said, this must be some kind of gimmick guy that Pfeffer had dreamed up when I first saw the letters. And then we realized he was an attorney, did have an office, and he represented Pfeffer in a lot of stuff. And you'd looked him up in conjunction with some real world business that he had been doing in New York in the 30s and 40s. But Isaac Townsend Flatto was his real name, son of German immigrants. And he started practicing law in New York as early as 1907. And he, in the World War I, he was a local war effort, you know, mover and shaker. He was on the board of governors of the American Victory Union, a civic organization that included William Randolph Hearst. So he was a sports nut, and that's how he came in contact with Pfeffer, because he's the guy that built the Ridgewood Grove Arena, the new Ridgewood Grove Sporting Club, to host boxing and wrestling, and opened it in 1926. And remember, we talked about the Johnston brothers that had the license for boxing and wrestling in Madison Square Garden, or the family. There were brothers and other relations.
Right.
He tried to get that in 1925, and that's why he built Ridgewood Grove Arena. He built his own arena. So he controlled Ridgewood Grove. We've seen a ton of advertisements from wrestling there, and the early television broadcast, Jamaica Arena. They did television there as well, and the Dykeman Bowl. And then apparently he got sideways with Jack Curley when Curley was still alive, and that's what led him to start doing business with Jack Pfeffer. And he wanted to bring new blood into the wrestling business. And another guy that he made the director of his wrestling, I guess that was the title, but probably his booker, at one point at Ridgewood Grove, was Rudolph Miller, who would later on be the guy that owned Pittsburgh, Rudy Miller, who would start Bruno Sammartino, give him his first contract.
Well, that was Jack Hurley's office. He had Jack Pfeffer and Rudy Miller in there. Those were his two guys. And then, of course, Pfeffer broke away. And when did Pfeffer break away in comparison to IT Flatto?
Well, okay, in 1934, Corey Santos said, when the newly founded Wrestling Trust dictated the terms of the sport in the city of New York, Flatto balked, rejecting the status quo and putting his weight and pocketbook behind Jack Pfeffer's lighter wrestlers and the fresh blood offered by Ohio's Al Haft.
There you go.
And,
there you go.
Yeah. And there you go. And Flatto had stated he wanted to purchase arenas in both Los Angeles and Chicago as part of a larger boxing wrestling empire, but that did not apparently come through. Apparently at a radio show just titled Sports at 11:30 p.m. on WGBS Radio, which is now WINS 1010.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Are you aware of this station?
1010 wins. It used to be music, and then it became all news.
He was also the protection that Pfeffer needed against an openly hostile New York State Athletic Commission. Remember, we read some of those letters.
Yeah.
And they were antagonistic to Pfeffer since his ugly divorce from Ivan Podobny in 1927. They weren't pleased with his antics after he was excommunicated. So we got to research that a little bit more. But basically, Pfeffer not only got funding from Flatto and his connections, but it was also remember when Pfeffer put Flatto, listed him on his draft card, which was the signal that he knew somebody and they should leave him alone. Pfeffer was always scared of being identified as a communist, especially during and after World War II. And since Flatto was a judge and a lawyer, he was in the veterans organizations, he could keep people off of Pfeffer. But Pfeffer was in the same situation as Colonel Tom Parker when he managed Elvis. Pfeffer couldn't travel internationally or take a chance on getting arrested for the stuff he had done with the Russian Grand Opera Company when he was with them, or his questionable paperwork. And Flatto had married a multimillionaire widow in 1940. You know, Pfeffer just loved that. And apparently his wife was an LA socialite. And he ran Ridgewood Grove throughout his life until dying of a heart attack in New York City on November 10, 1956. And just to go to show you how people soon forget, nobody from the sporting world, which Flatto had apparently devoted his life to, came to his funeral. Pfeffer and a former secretary of the Athletic Commission in New York were the only ones there for a one-time titan in the city's sports scene, I.T. Flatto.
Wow.
Brian, it's terrible how people just turn. When you're gone, they just forget you.
Where's his papers? You know, I mean, I'm sure probably tossed out or something if no one has them and they haven't turned up, but it just goes to show you how many important figures there are outside of wrestling even, who interject with wrestling that we don't know anything about. You know, I would love to read more about I.T. Flatto. I'd love to read a Jack Pfeffer book, don't get me wrong, but I.T. Flatto sounds fascinating.
I guarantee you there is more paperwork documenting the goings-on of I.T. Flatto and the Jack Pfeffer files that exists altogether in the rest of the world put together.
I'm sure.
But anyway, well, Corey, after he finishes Pfeffer, he'll do Flatto, and then he can sell them as a combo, the Pfeffer and Flatto combo. All righty. Anyway, somebody else is trying to sell us something, Brian. I'm not sure I'm buying it. Do you have, I asked you to see if you could look up what John Cena is saying about the finish of his match. That I know we've already talked about it, but now there's comments from John, and there's people trying to give it this cinematic, deep meaning of the warrior realized that he had to let go and just he was content with his life, or what the fuck is going on here is what I'm asking you. What are these people saying?
They're trying to explain and justify the finish of the Cena-Gunther match, which was obviously something worked on internally, and Cena, it seems like all the things that people didn't like over this past year, all Cena has done publicly is embrace it. Still. And this is no change right here.
Well, but I mean, since I heard what they're saying, I'm thinking, could this even have been John's idea? Because he has been in the motion picture industry for a while. But honest to God, it sounds like, I loved Kevin Sullivan. But Kevin Sullivan sat and told me on Crockett's Plain one night for about 45 minutes, the whole angle and all the happenings and all the motivations and everything that everybody was going to do and say behind that. Remember that triple cage Tower of Doom thing they did in the summer of '88?
Yeah.
And not a lot of people liked that thing. But the way he told it, it was the greatest wrestling angle I'd ever heard. And I thought, if only we had just let Kevin Sullivan go out on TV for 45 minutes and explain it. Because it didn't get it when everybody else, or they didn't get it rather when everybody else had to get involved. The point is this some grand idea that John had for being artistic and deep and meaningful and cinematic and theatrical and thespianism and all that other stuff, and for a lot of people is just flattered and fucking plate full of piss?
I'm not exactly sure, but we have some quotes here. Apparently Cena was on the Cody Rhodes podcast. Those WWE podcasts are so funny. Whenever they plug it on Raw, it's like the same rotating group of guests. Like, Nick Khan's on this show this week, and then a week later, Nick Khan's on this show, and then a week later, you'll never guess who Stephanie's talking to. Yeah, we will. It's the same person that was on Cody's show last month. But anyway, Cody had Cena on, and I have a quote here. This was transcribed by the Wrestling Observer newsletter. For the last 5 minutes, everything I preach about story and drama and having a conversation with the audience, the ones I love are in the front row. I know my colleagues are watching on the monitor back there. We're just in a sleeper hold, man, but we're having the conversation with the audience. As I essentially take my last breath.
Yeah, the audience was hoping he'd quit breathing earlier.
Was that thunder?
Boy, it must be. I hear it behind you.
Holy shit. All right, John, I take it back. Your finish was great.
Wait a minute.
Your finish was great. I love the match.
Boy, I knew he had friends in high places, but...
Jesus. Let me get back to
that was very loud.
John said, God has something to say about all this, apparently. As I essentially take my last breath, I have struggled. If you think of somebody, the natural causes scenario, or however we picture loss in our life, all of us have been through it. They struggle. They hang on just long enough to make sure to say goodbye to everyone that's been meaningful in their lives. And that whole day was so many unbelievable, vulnerable, meaningful conversations as the clouds literally open up around me and rain comes pouring down. But back to the quote here. Then you realize I've connected with everybody I love. Physically, I feel great. I think it's time to take that last breath. And that's that. I hate to keep going back morbidly to obituaries, but like, this person died peacefully. Knowing that, like, man, we are in a good place. We're going to be great going forward. The bottom of the t-shirt says, I gave everything. Thank you for everything. And in that one moment, that was that. Going peacefully. So I guess he was smiling.
I've been watching wrestling for 50 years. I've never seen a great match where I could liken the finish to watching someone die. What is he... Have they all gone, even John, gone just insane over the smell of their own methane farts? That is... No! If I'm gonna have to watch a loved one die, I'd rather watch the loved one get run over by a fucking bus than die a slow, agonizing death of a horrible, painful, cancerous disease. Just boom, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3, dominant, boom, there you go, instead of a 5-minute sleeper. Where in wrestling terms, if that's equated to his real life analogy, then about 3 minutes in, some of the fucking younger generation in the family was talking about plug pulling. Yeah, let's just get it over with. It don't look like Gramps is gonna kick out.
What do you think just about what he's saying, though, and the way he's saying it? And again, I'm sure him saying it is better than me reading it, but it's that Dwayne Johnson disease. And trying to pretend like you're smarter than the moment.
Artsy fartsy.
Artsy fartsy. Cena doesn't talk like a real human being. Anything you ever see with him in the press, it's, I've said it before, motivational posters, but it's just he talks in a disingenuous kind of way. He gets away with it 'cause he's such a nice guy, but what does he say?
He talks in a motivating kind of way, but it's it's just, again, nobody wants to see the great wrestling star just give up and just slip away. They want to see him go down fighting at least. And this, again, they've all convinced themselves that they're actors and they're entertainers and they're movie stars and they're whatever. They're telling this deep and profound story of emotions. And no, it's fucking wrestling. Either put the heel over by a fuck or let the babyface triumph in the end or goddamn something, but make it at least exciting. And a 5-minute struggle with a sleeper at the end of this thing was just the flattest fucking way. Go to sleep. He put him to sleep. We can still wake him up. It's not permanent. But he didn't have to just, it's time for me to go. I've done all I can do. At last, the end is near. And so I face the German sleeper. I've made all the money here that I'm gonna make in this last year.
He's from Austria.
So now I'm just gonna say, fuck the whole goddamn career. 'Cause I'm just gonna tap with a silly smile. And then I'm gonna leave here.
Again, Mr. Mr. Never Give Up gave up. It's such a weird goodbye message to wrestling, and the fans there rejected it categorically. Whether or not it's a big benefit to Gunther going forward, we'll see. But again, you kind of had
it's a big benefit to Gunther, and I love the people saying, oh, he's got heat like the old days. He has more heat than anybody else around here does these days, but it's not heat like the old days. But still, it's positive for him. Again, I'd hate to have been the people in the building that night, spent all that money. You didn't get as pissed off when you're just watching on TV as when you actually left your house in that weather to spend that kind of money to go see that. But I wish they'd have made it more exciting. But, ultimately, they're trying to be way too theatrical and impress people on how deep they think about this. And I think they're thinking too deep, at least in the hole they're putting their heads in, they've gone too deep with this one. That's just silliness to be...
Did you see the Cena quotes? I'm reading it here. I'm looking at different articles. The Cena quotes from the same conversation with Cody about the Travis Scott Rock disappearance.
Oh, yeah. Which was kind of, again, nothing, no details. Just, well, here we don't have them, and now we do. And, well, we don't.
Well, he's trying to make it sound like it wasn't a big deal. Neither he nor Rhodes wasted time dwelling on what could have been. Here's the quote. Yeah. Hey, you have The Rock and Travis Scott. Awesome. We can plan all this stuff. Hey, you don't have those two guys anymore. Not once did you and I, the whole world has had the conversation of what it would have been like, the two guys in it with their dick in the dirt. Not once had a conversation about, man, what would it have been like if we had those guys? No, it was, what do we do now? Let's walk down the hypothetical street. Let's say everyone who showed up at the chamber is active until August. That robs us of John Cena, Randy Orton. That robs us of John Cena, CM Punk, John Cena, Ron Cena, John Cena, AJ Styles, John Cena, Logan Paul, me and you for the last one. So yes, the story that might have had star power and gravity and who knows what. But what we got by just being like, these are the pieces left, what we got from me personally was beautiful. What is that?
Was that Tony Khan?
Yeah, what is that?
I completely lost any thread of what the fuck through that whole thing. But that's because they're not allowed to say that Rock came in and fucked shit up and then didn't want to do the shit they were left with when his rapper friend turned tail and took off or whatever, and it screwed the whole thing up. So it's just, let's say a lot of words, and now we've answered the question.
Hey, one last thing, a weird question that I'm very serious about. Should John Cena and WWE paid a little bit of attention to what Tony Khan did for Sting on the way out and the way he handled it? Forget about like the semantics of who was in the match or anything else. The spirit around that event and the feeling there. Should they have paid attention to that for this?
Yeah. I think that there was an element of Sting. The reason why I thought that they over-gimmicked Sting's retirement was having him have the tag team titles when it happened. That was unnecessary. It was something that was forced into the thing. But literally everybody that came to Greensboro to see that, which was their biggest show of the year, I believe, in terms of attendance or gate or whatever, they wanted to see Sting win. They didn't want to see Sting lose. Sting was not going to, at that point, on that night, create a new superstar. Sometimes you got to give the people what they want to see. And as I said, I think you could have done, if you tried, they had a year with John in singles matches with all kinds of top talent to work with at his disposal. They could have, I think, gotten heat on Gunther by when they put the belt on John instead of giving it back to Dominic. Gunther, I know they think Gunther's above the Intercontinental title, but just done anything to put Gunther over and then still have a final match where he could go out in a more sunny situation. Or even if they didn't want to do that and they wanted Gunther to win his very last match, Cena's, then have an exciting finish. And Gunther'd still have a lot of heat, but I wouldn't be bitching about the goddamn match so much. It wouldn't have, the last 5 minutes just being immobile. When's the last time you saw 5 minutes of a main event wrestling match with that much on the line and they just lay in one place in the ring?
Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd.
With all due respect to both involved, I don't think that was as big as this was. And the ticket prices were a lot cheaper. But anyway, again, I'm not saying don't have Gunther win. I'm not saying Gunther, don't have him. I'm not saying just make it exciting if that's what you wanted to do. That's the biggest problem I had with it. And the whole tapping thing with the profound, deep emotional meaning, blah, it didn't work. It doesn't come across to people. They want to see boom, 1, 2, 3, or oh my God, I can't breathe, I'm unconscious, or some type of urgent tap out because they're having a shit choked out of them. Not like, oh, thank you, my friend. I'll just tap now. Anyhow, what do I know, Brian? I'm only a successful business entrepreneur with many, many irons in the fire. Do we have enough business entrepreneurs with irons in the fire in the world today? Or do we need some more in the year 2026 for a New Year's resolution?
Iron's expensive.
Well, what about steel? Steel's even worse.
You shouldn't steal, that's illegal.
Well, my mother irons and my father steals, but nevertheless. Folks, if you want to launch your own business in 2026, if you want to be the entrepreneur, the founder, the boss, the chief executive officer, and also the chief cook and bottle washer, one move, one powerful move can put your future firmly in your hands, and that's starting a business with Shopify. There you go, and you're going to hear that. You're going to get used to it, folks. You're going to hear it a lot because millions of entrepreneurs have already made the leap from household names to first-time business owners just getting started, and this is the year you need to join them. You're going to rewrite your story. You're going to own your future. Make your entrepreneurial dreams come true. That is your New Year's resolution, ladies and gentlemen, to learn to pronounce all these words. Folks, Shopify, right there they are, dinging by on their express bicycle. They give you all the tools to easily build your dream store. You can choose from hundreds of beautiful templates that you can customize to match your brand. And then if you can dream it, then they can figure out a way to do something like what you dream. If you have nightmares, watch out, because when they put the monsters loose on you, holy shit,
They're not good. What are you telling people? If you have dreams like that, they're not going to put any monsters loose on you. What they're going to do is loosen up commerce for you.
If you fuck up and tell Shopify to bring the wrong dream to a reality, you could be in serious fucking trouble. You're running in that quicksand, can't get away from that thing with those fucking teeth. No. So you got to tell them which dream that you want to make a reality.
That's not how
because
it works.
Setup is it's fast setup.
No.
Yes. Yeah, fast setup with Shopify's built-in AI tools that write product descriptions and headlines. They help you edit product photos. Then they assume your identity and they take on your appearance.
They do not.
A double of yourself.
That's the real drama there, folks. We're not good. They don't take on your identity. That has nothing to do with anything they do. They won't do that.
You can
That's
tell
the Shopify pledge.
They don't really have fingerprints, so you can tell. Marketing is built in too, folks. You can create email and social media campaigns that reach customers wherever they are scrolling. I was scrolling in the park one day trying to figure out a way to get laid when Shopify went ding and my heartstrings went zing. And now I'm married to the bitch for the rest of my life.
Shopify does not endorse that song, for the record. No ka-ching there, or cha-ching. Is it ka-ching or cha-ching?
Yeah, it's a little cheap-ching. As you grow, Shopify grows with you so you can handle more orders. You can take the big ones, ladies and gentlemen, expand to new markets, stretch all the way out, and do it all from the same dashboard, or every once in a while they'll let you get in the back seat. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Cha-ching. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Sign up for your $1 a month trial. I didn't ask for two. Sign up for your $1 a month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/JCE. That's shopify.com/JCE, because you're going to hear your first cha-ching this new year with Shopify by your side. Yeah, they don't have fingerprints, as they haven't really perfected that yet, but otherwise it looks just like you.
Again, none of that, but all the rest. We use them. We trust them for our online business. You could trust them. Shopify.com/JCE. I just got a severe thunderstorm warning on my phone. A little late, guys. A little late.
It's already passed over you, right? It's the middle of December and you're in New Jersey and you're getting a severe thunderstorm warning.
That's right. Hey, I have some breaking news.
What is broken?
This is pretty big. I just got a press release from AEW. AEW Media sent it to me. Hope you're sitting down, Jim.
Well, I am, but would you like me to lay down?
White Castle and All Elite Wrestling tag up for a new AEW Bacon Brawl combo.
Oh, good Lord.
AEW stars Tony Storm, Brody King, Bandito, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Darby Allin, if medically cleared, team up to promote new limited time combo available for purchase nationwide at White Castle locations starting December 27th. I can go on, but let me get your first thoughts here.
Well, I'll tell you what, if this kind of is perfect synergy, the marketing campaign, the strategy, because when you think of something that gives you an inordinate stomach pain, a feeling of bloatedness where you're emitting gaseous stenches from your body, you think of White Castle and watching AEW.
Well, let's get some of the details here. White Castle, America's first fast food hamburger chain, and All Elite Wrestling, one of the most dynamic brands in professional wrestling, today unveiled the AEW Bacon Brawl Combo. Available only for a limited time nationwide, starting December 27th through January 31st, 2026. The two iconic brands are partnering once again. White Castle's bringing the bacon, and AEW is bringing the brawl for a high-impact, flavorful feast for cravers and wrestling fans, exclusively available only at White Castle locations nationwide. The AEW Bacon Brawl Combo features 2 White Castle bacon cheese sliders, White Castle crinkle cut fries, and a drink, a combo worthy of a true champion's crave.
What? Wait a minute, hold on.
They didn't even include the explosive diarrhea. Amazing.
Well, besides that, there is literally 1 ounce of meat in each White Castle. So they're literally selling you 2 ounces of hamburger meat with a bunch of bread, some potatoes, and a goddamn syrupy sugar drink. And White Castle, as you know, it's something that you every 5 years you realize, oh man, I haven't had White Castle in ages. I want to have some White Castle, and then you have it, you realize why that it took you 5 years to want it again.
Well, some more info here. I have a quote from the vice president at White Castle, Jamie Richardson. AEW and White Castle both know how to bring the intensity. And this combo delivers on every level.
I'll tell you what, I almost never got rid of those hemorrhoids that last one cost me.
The AEW Bacon Brawl Combo is bold and built for fans who crave big flavor and big moments. Whether they're watching the action
and big shits.
Whether they're watching the action or fueling up between matches.
or letting the fudge monkey out of his cage, or dropping the Browns off at the Super Bowl, or firing off a chocolate rocket, whatever you might be doing.
This collaboration will blend the bold flavor of White Castle with the high-intensity spirit of AEW, and will have extensive promotion across AEW platforms and select White Castle locations. Several stars, Timeless Tony Storm, Brody King, Bandito, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Darby Allin, will appear across custom content promoting the AEW Bacon Brawl Combo on AEW programming, such as Dynamite Collision.
I know Darby Allin's done some dangerous things before, but he's actually going to eat this shit on camera?
White Castle will also support the promotion with in-restaurant and exterior signage at over 300 locations nationwide, branded creative across digital and mobile channels, and organic social content that will also amplify posts from AEW talent. So there you go, big things happening. Fans can purchase a custom limited edition AEW White Castle Luchador mask at shopaew.com and houseofcrave.com starting January 7th. It seems like if they're going to make a big deal out of it, the combo package needs to be a little better than just...
Well, that's the thing. You could literally be a vegetarian and eat that combo and not really have violated your principles. They're so small, but White Castle, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, White Castle was great because that was the only thing open to eat between 10 o'clock at night and 6 the next morning. And I remember Uncle Tommy used to bring home a sack of White Castles because they were, in those days, they were 19 cents a piece. My cousin Larry used to call them death burgers in a coffin. I admit that every once in a while, I'll say, God damn it, a White Castle, boy. And after I eat them, and then I feel like I've consumed a wet sponge, and I think, boy, I used to be a lot younger. But I never ate that stuff regularly. And me eating fast food every day, you can't. It'll rinse your guts out. And that's what it used to be, open late and cheap and open on Christmas Day and whatever. Now, a while back, a few years ago, they had good fish nuggets, believe it or not, like around Easter time. I don't know how that came up, but they were also like $7 for an order, while the sliders are 69 cents or whatever they used to be. Hey, boy, I'll tell you what, those arenas are certainly going to smell like rodeo barns. If this promotion is a success, can you imagine 4,000 people all together in the same building that have all just eaten White Castle? I got to turn everybody's skin brown.
I haven't seen a White Castle since I left Long Island. It was one on Sunrise Highway in Lynbrook, and every 5-10 years or so, you'd be like, let me go get that. It'll be late at night, and you'd regret it so bad. But it would taste good in the moment. It tastes really good in the moment.
It goes down better than it fucking comes back up. But anyhow, well, good to know they got that going for them. I guess they did a TV show, but before we get into that, Brian, is there anything happening in the Christmas season on the Arcadian Vanguard Network?
Oh, thank you very much. A surprise spot here. Get information about all the shows on Twitter at Super Podcast or on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. The rain has stopped. It was the loudest thunder I've heard in a while, the hardest rain, the loudest rain, wind started blowing stuff. Now it's just over. And now the sun is coming out. And the sun comes out each and every day with the wrestling news. Every morning where you find your favorite podcast, get it directly from thewrestlingnews.com, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. For those of you who have been watching the videos on YouTube, they will return in 2026. We're actually changing up the way we do videos for the Wrestling News. Stay tuned for that. Also want to make mention of Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon, available at suawpod.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. His guest this week, one of Jim's friends, not someone I would endorse, but JBL. Hear that today. suawpod.com, Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon. And of course, Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam. A look at 1985 as we begin to wrap up the year. They are wrapping up their review of 1985 in pro wrestling. McAdamPod.com, or look for Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam, wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! And Jim's sounds don't work anymore, and it's a pleasant thing.
Son of a bitch!
Oh, I heard some of that. Go through the archive, 605pod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Stay tuned for more in the future.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it's not working.
It was stuck.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Well, here, can you hear this? Let me turn it up for you. See, now, if you saw what I was doing, you'd know. All right, well, before we ho on down our chimneys for the Christmas break, here on The Experience, we are going to briefly cover the efforts of this past Wednesday night, December 17th, AEW Dynamite from Manchester, England. I wish Billy Robinson had shown up and just stretched everybody. Brian, did you like the way they opened this program? Was this abrupt, or they're really trying to nab the viewer at the start to the point where you think that there was some kind of network difficulty and they just cut into the show? But they started the program as soon as they came up from black. They rang the bell. Roderick Strong versus Moxley started, and Sockface started talking like a meth addict. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Look at this match. We get this other match, and here's this match. And what was it jarringly abrupt to you, or are you just used to these things now?
When it comes to his commentary, I'm kind of used to it. I watch a lot of this stuff on mute because of him and Shivani specifically. But in terms of the match, it was the most abrupt beginning to an episode of Dynamite, and it's interesting because it was taped. It wasn't live from Manchester. And they kept saying Manchester like every fan must know that's England. Some fans are probably like, why do they keep talking about New Hampshire?
Well, now, it depends on where you live. Some people might say, why are they in Tennessee?
But that's the other thing, the fact that they did the abrupt open on the show that was already in the can as of a few hours earlier.
They go back and forth between, for whatever reason, Tony thinks, okay, we'll hook them this week so they won't go anywhere. We'll jump right into it. And then the next week, they will start with a 3-minute backstage thing and then have a billboard for 26 different matches. It's all over the place. But he just makes up the show format each week depending on his whim. And I'm not talking about changing the matches or the interviews. I'm talking about how they actually do the television program. And there's... So you jumped right into this thing, and again, I love Roderick Strong. I think Moxley's the worst wrestler in the world, but the way that Roderick Strong has been presented, why do you really care? It's a Continental Classic tournament match because Tony's stuck with that. He can't even have a regular single elimination tournament. He has to have this screwy Japanese inspired round robin gold block, blue block, and you end up with all these matches that just go on. And it's just for another belt in a place of where everybody's got a belt. So I didn't want to watch Moxley this close to Christmas. As I was zipping through it, I saw even in a tournament match where interference is barred because the plumber's in it, they've still got to fight in the back of the arena, and they've still got to be forever on the floor with no count out, and they've still got to do stupid bumps that take forever to set up and require obvious cooperation. And it's a waste of Roddy's talent because he's still technically excellent and could be, at this point, be better used to get meaningful people over, but they go 20 minutes and then I don't know what the fuck with the finish. Roddy's going for Moxley's leg to put him back in the crab or the sharpshooter or whatever the fuck. Moxley kicks Roddy off. He goes to the floor. He slides back in and Moxley hits his DDT out of nowhere. And they both sell for a while and then Moxley covers 2 count. And then they both sell some more and Moxley picks him up and gives him a bigger double arm DDT and covers him 1, 2, 3. What the He could have beat him with the DDT the first time. Why would they've got to slow everything down at the end and then do it in an anticlimactic fashion? Did you understand that, or were you caring?
I hate the layout of almost every single Jon Moxley match I watch, and that includes the finishes. Yeah, it wasn't a surprise who won. It was a surprise they went as long as they did. The match didn't end until, 20-something minutes into the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it went a long while. And then, I don't know, that's the thing in wrestling right now. Just the kind of fucking lame dick finish. Just a finish out of nowhere that isn't as exciting as the last one I saw, or you get choked out and you smile, or whatever it is.
The second DDT looked better than the first one. If he'd have done that the first time and covered him and beat him, it would have been perfect. But instead, he hits him, boom, and then they sell, and then he covers him and kicks out, then he just picks him up and does the same thing.
Did you see the Moxley promo later in the show? In the back?
No, I saw he was talking. That's why I didn't see it. But do you know what he said?
It's just a similar thought I had when watching the Adam Page Swerve Samoa Joe confrontation before MJF arrived. Just, there are people who think this guy is like the great talker. And his promo sucks. That was my only thought. I was hoping you'd back it up because you're the expert and I'm,
I usually back it up. That's why, you silly little thing. It's a silly little co-host. That's why I don't watch him anymore, because it just drones on, slobbering and sniffing and saying the same shit, the incomprehensible stuff. Nobody still understands what he was trying to save the company from, or save it for himself, or save it from them, or save who from what. And boy, he had to make sure that they all bled to bring out the best in it. What the fuck? Nobody knows. It was gibberish to everybody except him in his head. Speaking of gibberish in people's heads, is this $1 million, Brian, that they keep putting up, is that like the same million that they keep putting up because there's some people that win the million and then they're not involved in the next time the million's up. And I'm just wondering, do those people get paid off and bought out of their position, or are they using a different $1 million? Or is it just a fucking duffel bag with a bunch of goddamn toilet paper shoved in it?
Have they overexposed $1 million to the point where he doesn't mean as much as he used to when you only saw him once every... Actually, you never really saw him. There was never any $1 million match. Not in the last 40 years ago, we saw $1 million matches. And now it's just nonstop, this feud over bags of money.
So, 6-man tag for $1 million. Kenny and the Hardley Boys against Chia and Take a Shit and O'Boring. Again, didn't they do this before? I thought, but Alexander had won some money at one point, I think. It's the same fucking guys because these are the friends section, and they all want to work with each other because they do the same shit all the time. So they did what they always do, and way too much of it. And it's especially obvious now. And even Aubrey Ed later on in the girls' match, I'd noticed this also. She's not even trying to go through the motions of refereeing, because when the girls just jump in without tagging, or, oh, we got a spot coming up where it's 2-on-1, so she'll just stand with that quizzical look like she can't figure out how many times to pound her hoof on the ground when you say what's 3 + 3. So they just do all the shit that they normally do. And then about 15, 16 minutes in, they tagged Kenny in with O'Boring. And remember, this is these people's dream confrontation. A guy that, to be charitable, his better days are behind him, versus a guy who, I don't know if he had better days at this point. You got one's fucking nearly crippled, the other one's asleep. And when Kenny and Lazy Boy get in the ring with each other, all the partners just got out on the floor and just stood there and stared at it so they could have, like, oh, the stage is theirs now. They're going to do a solo. They can't even keep up the pretense of having a fucking match. They don't know how. And then O'Boring and Kenny, they circle each other. They go head to head. They trash talk. And I swear to God, then they stood there and traded forearms and made funny faces. 16 forearms, a punch, and a chop. Nobody took a bump. Then they started a back and forth deal where they evaded each other's moves, and then all 4 other guys just ran it at 100 miles an hour, and everybody did shit to each other. And a referee stood there slack-jawed and through the... And it went minutes more after that. And finally, and I haven't seen the recap yet, Brian, but is this what Uncle Dave calls one of the creative, innovative moves that all these chuckle fucks are known for? Kenny gets Chia up for the one-winged fairy. But then the Buckaroos line up, and Nikki runs and cheerleader vaults over Maddie and grabs Chia to go down with him when Kenny gives him the super fairy. 1, 2, 3. Again, what is the difference in this and cheerleading when they every once in a while punch each other?
I can't answer that. I mean, my thought during this match, seeing Omega, seeing the Bucks, Okada, it was almost like slamboree for this group of guys. It's like they're all doing the same shit they used to do, or at least what they do is the same shit they used to do. They can't all do the same shit they used to do because we won't see them for a year. They don't do it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll disappear off TV for a while. But, you know, there's a fan base that really loved that and invested in it years ago, and they're still into it. They get overlooked at. It's like Richard Simmons against Perry Como. They can overlook that, but some of us can't. It hit me watching Okada. He's like the Perry Como of wrestling. He just stands there and fucking doesn't do anything.
You know what? To check and see whether he's submitting, the referee ought to hold a mirror up to his mouth.
And they did a bunch of the Okada Takeshita fucking... Again, they become mute. And they just get in each other's faces and no one can talk and also no one can do anything. And the crowd, for a large part of the match, sat there and didn't make a sound. They popped for, like, the greatest hit spots, the same way you would at Slamboree, if, you know, like, one of the legends oh my god, Dory Funk's going for the toe hold! Because that's what it is to these fans. They're seeing, like, the greatest hits. But Omega looks rough, I'm telling you. I want to see him work a long singles match one time in the next year.
Why?
I gotta see it.
Oh, good Lord. Well, anyway, back to this thing. So...
Thanks for getting me going.
Well, you're welcome. Well, you pissed me off earlier. So the baby faces have won the thing. Well, Don's got the bag of $1 million, and he tries to sneak out. But the baby faces look like they're going to catch him, but the heels jump the baby faces. Well, Kenny rolled out. I guess he can't take any big moves. But Boring and Take a Shit took turns laying out the buckaroos with their various big moves and then argued with each other until Kenny came in with a push broom and scared him off. And Don forgot to take the money. He left the money, the bag, sitting there. So, Brian, if you've got $1 million that you don't want to give up, are you going to forget, even though nobody's touched you, you're just going to run off and leave it, or are you going to take it with you?
Yeah, I would think you would take it with you. Yeah.
Well, he didn't. So the baby faces got the bag of $1 million. We didn't see any of it, but they got the bag.
How does that work for taxation? Because this transaction's happening in Manchester, not in the United States. How are they going to bring back that? How does that work?
That's an idea. Or did they get, like, pounds? And they're going to have to convert it? What's the conversion rate? Did they get jacked on that? And I think there's a fee.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous that they can't even take their own program seriously, and that Tony is stuck. Tournament match, put up money, multiple man match. And I don't know he's going to get out of this, because his booking for years has been bizarre, but now it's just stuck. Anyway.
It's the talent, though. He's stuck with the talent he has. We haven't seen any signs of it.
Just because he doesn't have any stars doesn't mean he has to put $1 million up in a match every week.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Two goofy fucking EVPs have some ridiculous story that they think people give a shit about, that involves $1 million because they lost all their money because they went to Vegas, and Nick is obviously such a fucking horrible gambler. It's just so stupid. So then we had the contract signing, because, Brian, they got a pay-per-view in about 10 days or so from this television show, and the world title is going to be on the line, and Tony has come up with the revolutionary idea where they're going to have a contract signing for a 3-way for the world title. Nobody's ever seen such a thing. It's been years, so naturally this is going to be a big deal. Hangnail Page, Swerve, and Samoa Joe. And again, the same pattern. Well, now these two guys, are they going to be able to get along? But the other guy's the heel and blah, blah, blah. The same fucking thing. Joe did a nice little promo, signed a contract. Swerve did an okay little promo, signed a contract, basically saying we both hate Joe, but we've got a grudging, weird respect for each other, you and me, Paige. after the blood drinking and the baby terrorizing and the house burning. And Swerve showed that he's somewhat of a mark because, and actually it showed that the tiny little audience that AEW has left now and how the only the most devoted are going
against Athena and
because
Mercedes.
he hit Joe with a knock or insult line on the fake tattoo that he had on his face in TNA in 2007. He didn't even say TNA. He just said that fake tattoo you had in 2007. And the people popped. Think how narrow casting they're going to appeal to the, well, I guess there was more people watching TNA in 2007 watching this show now.
More people in England liked it than people in America at different times.
That's true.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, 20 years ago in another promotion, and he expects and was rewarded with the fact that these are the so devoted marks that they will react to that obscure line. They don't get their own show over because they're all marks for, they think that everybody remembers everything that happened everywhere in GLEAT and Stardom and whatever the fuck. And that's another, it's the Ring of Honor syndrome when all those guys couldn't get over the fact that the wider audience had no idea what they were fucking talking about. But at least Swerve didn't go too long. And then Paige started. And I didn't think this ever was going to end. He did a whole promo on Joe. And then I said, oh, Jesus, now he's talking to Swerve. And it's this, again, he's got his own special style of this unnatural, stilted way of speaking in the growly voice with the grandiose verbiage that's obviously a prepared statement, and he's acting. He's not that person. We all know he's a simpering twit. This went on quite a while, and then finally he signed the contract. I'm like, Jesus Christ, at least that's over. Before I go any further on what happened next, was I too hard on Adam Page's filibuster?
Maybe, just in the sense that I think you were too light on Swerve and Samoa Joe. I thought everyone sucked here. I didn't believe a word out of anyone's mouth here. I thought everyone came up with a speech they were happy with. Samoa Joe is a little more polished at not just standing there and reciting something like he's in Macbeth. But I didn't buy anything from any of these people, and Swerve just talks gibberish. I don't even know what Swerve's talking about half the time. It's about like just a greater thing that I just don't get. I don't know what he's talking about. And Adam Page is ridiculous.
I was giving the first two more credit for just going short and helping the situation out. But nevertheless, then the lights went out.
I'm sorry.
The lights went out. And talk about the theater. MJF music. And a big pop. And again, the devil is back, and they're chanting his name and humming his song. They're literally going, da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. They sang his instrumental. They're starved for the sight of, as Flair used to say, starved for the sight of a real man. They're starved for the sight of a star, and he's back, and it's a moment, and they were ready for it. But again, the most popular guy in the company, by virtue of the fact that he's the most talented guy in the company, the biggest heel is the babyface. And he comes out, signs the contract, cashes in. It's a four-way match now. And I wrote down, this is over 10 minutes in for this segment, and MJF has just started talking.
Can I say something?
So here we go. Go ahead.
I actually thought for a second, just a second, because they quickly showed what they were going to do. When MJF came in, signed the contract, Shivani announced that he's cashing in. The crowd really reacted. I thought to myself, he should leave right now and not say anything. Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
No. Here's the thing. MJF proceeds for the next almost 10 minutes to give, as he often does, a virtuoso verbal performance. Delivery great, inflection great. He didn't go too heavy on trashing the town and the people because he couldn't, because they're fucking kissing his ass. His material is wonderful. But the way that they have presented this whole thing, these other three guys have to stand there and listen to this guy just verbally dissect them, tear them apart. None of the three of them have the verbal ability to come back in any way, shape, or form. And they just got to take it. And his reason for getting a four-way, he said, well, I could have just beat one of you or whatever, but he wants to prove that he's not a coward and that he wants to beat Samoa Joe because he hates Joe, because when he beat me, then the fans turned on me. So I'm going to end his reign. And Swerve, who he compared to Diddy, we've known each other since the Indies. I knew you since you went to the WWE and twerked for top dollar. Again, for the inside fans, but...
And Swerve stood there. He no-sold it in a sense, but he just stood there while he's saying this, and the crowd's oohing at it.
And then the whole thing with Paige. But again, a masterful job of tearing these guys down, but they have to stand there and listen to it forever. And before he even started, they had to stand there and listen to the other three forever. Because the rule was nobody was allowed to get physical. Shit, then fucking why is anybody ever allowed to get physical when they're not supposed to? There's no universal logic in this whole goddamn show. It's like just whatever the fuck. So it's not Swerve's house. It's MJF's house, and the rent is due, and the devil's back to collect. And he ended it with his catchphrase, and the fans did the last line. And we had a 20-minute segment. We got a four-way for the world title, and my God, doesn't MJF have to beat it or have to win it? So Joe just won, but that was temporary. But in Tony's mind, this means that the people will be clamoring to see MJF against Paige and MJF against Swerve because they didn't see those single matches yet. He's giving them a four-way. He does it backwards. He gives them a four-way, then he's going to book singles matches. And his heel is more popular than both his baby faces. Help me out, Brian.
I can't help you out, just like I can't help Tony out. No, you know, that's the dilemma. I thought MJF's promo was the highlight of the show. I also thought it was ill-timed. And I thought he should have gotten it as soon as he came in there, looking a little different. Different haircut. I haven't seen him in a while. Big reaction, and you had to assume he would get a big reaction returning. Have him sign that contract, announce it's a four-way, get out of there. Save the promo till next week. Is there a next week? Is that Christmas? But whatever. Save the promo.
Well, it's Christmas Eve.
So, I mean, I guess now that I think about it, I guess they did kind of have to rush all this in for the pay-per-view that's coming up.
Imagine it. What about since you write the fucking show and it's all made up, back everything up a week so you'd have more time.
But he dressed down the three of them, and I agreed with just about everything he said. Samoa Joe at least got in his face. That was a different kind of thing. But, but what's holding him back? Not Hook and Hobbs. They were just standing there. What's holding them back?
Well,
what's their agreement? They don't have any agreement. They're not part of the match.
No, they covered that. They said if anybody gets physical, well, you won't be able to be in the match, boys. And then it's like with the tournament, the idiot set up where there can be no interference. Then you've established that the promotion can control it. So the next time the heel does something, it's not his fault, it's the promotion's for not controlling it, because they can when they want to. The logic can't just be changed from week to week and segment to segment to fit your goddamn needs. That's the definition of lazy booking.
The person who held the microphone and was hosting the segment was Tony Schiavone until Samoa Joe stole it from him. We've seen him beat up and attacked. The person who made the edict was Tony Khan. We've seen him beat up and attacked. Why didn't they just make it don't beat me up and attack situations? But to your point, there's no consistency from one segment to the next with AEW. From one match to the next, or from week to week. It's just whatever he thinks he wants in the moment.
And that's why we get what we get, which is all over the page. I mean, you know, you could probably try to start thinking before the show goes on here. I wonder how many times that they'll fight in the crowd, or how many times somebody will dive off the top rope. You know, if they would cover things like this with our friends at Prize Picks, we could probably make some money, because we just say all the time, and with AEW we'd be right. But
yeah.
You can pick other things with Prize Picks, like they make picks on the basketball and the football. Old Steph Curry, Patrick Mahoney. I heard Patrick Mahoney hurt himself.
Mahomes, not Mahoney.
He's gone homes. Yeah, he's gone straight home.
His name is Patrick Mahomes.
Because he hurt himself. Well, his name is Mud right now. But again, folks, with basketball back, you can put Steph Curry in the same lineup with all the other people who do these type of things. You can make picks on fantasy score, free throws made, field goals attempted, turnovers. You can make picks on I like Apple turnovers myself, but any are good. And there's a new feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts, Brian. Something about this sounds shady to me. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out the winnings before the game finishes. And then, well, if there's a miracle comeback, I guess if you've got the money, they're going to be chasing you, so you better move out of state.
That's not how it works, and again, there's nothing shady about anything here. If you are into your daily fantasy, want to play your sports, Prize Picks is there for you.
Well, I'm into my daily fantasy, but the sports just gets in the way of me seeing those naked women. Is your fantasy season already over, folks? Is your team cooked? With Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. They let you play fantasy football every week. Now, if you're in your backyard, be aware a lot of your neighbors are going to wonder what the fuck you're doing. There's no football. There's no football uniform. There's no other people playing with you. You're just throwing a ball and catching it yourself and having a fantasy. So they could call somebody on you to get you hauled out of the backyard and put in some kind of long sleeve sport coat until they figure out that you're just having a daily fantasy football game.
Not appropriate or correct. As an example, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about those of you who are just fine, there's no problems, or maybe just minimal problems every now and then. But
if you have minimal mental problems, you can still download the Prize Picks app. Well, it's only if you have extensive mental problems.
I don't know why we're putting any of these qualifiers on. This is just...
Well, because if you're just a little fucking goofy, go ahead and download the Prize Picks app. It's simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. And you want to pick more on points, 3-pointers, assists, you can pick them all. Just pick everything. Because Prize Picks puts their users first, right out in front where you're in the line of fire, and then they'll hide and watch and see what happens. They accept most major payment methods.
Not how it works, ladies and gentlemen.
That they don't accept most major payment methods? I thought they did.
I forgot what I'm correcting. I'm correcting something that was there a second ago, and it's probably still there. Go back a second, and that is wrong. Continue, Jim.
Well, download the Prize Picks app today and use the code JCE. You're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is the code JCE on the Prize Picks app to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You show them yours, and then they'll show you theirs, and theirs is 10 times bigger. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Yes, Prize Picks.
Yes.
Yes.
I have nothing else to say because this is not the one where I read all that shit.
Well, we will now go back to the Wednesday Night Spectacular known as Dynamite.
Speaking of watching all that shit, did you watch the 8-man tag with Tony Storm and Mina Mellons and Willow and Harley against Mercedes Moan and Megan Brain and Athena and Marina Schaefer?
It would be a 8-woman tag, not 8-man tag.
Ah, did you watch it?
I saw the entrances. I saw the entrances, and I tried to watch a little bit of it, but
you didn't really watch it? Good.
Did you watch it? Hold on. Did you watch it?
No.
So what are you ripping?
It's the sanity clause. See, with the party, the first part.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take that out. Then the party, the second part. Nah, we don't want that party either. Now we're just left with the sanity clause. So, there was a tournament match, Brian, with Kyle Felcher against Pac. So now we've got, I'm thinking it's a heel versus heel match for no good reason except this screwy tournament, but at least maybe they can relieve some of the damage they did when Hong Kong Phooey beat Kyle the other night. Kyle can get a win back over this muscular fellow and try to redeem himself somewhat. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So...
that's what everyone had to be thinking would happen, quite frankly.
Well, because that's what should have fucking happened. But they go, I don't know how long they went. And finally, Kyle is going to give Pac the brainbuster on the top turnbuckle, like that's ever a good idea. I saw they had quotes from Kyle did some kind of interview somewhere, said, well, they had a call, him and Fat Ass Davis as a tag team, had a call with the WWE. But he went with AEW because he felt like he could do more of what his vision of wrestling is there. And that's the problem. And by the way, the dumb shit wasn't self-aware or confident enough to realize that he shouldn't be talking to the WWE as a tag team with this old fat guy. He should have been saying, can you get me into NXT so I can learn to be a multimillionaire? But nevertheless, Kyle went for the brainbuster on the top turnbuckle, but Pac blocked it, and they gingerly got into position as time stood still, where Kyle is holding on, bent over, and allows Pac to climb on his back piggyback while they're standing on the turnbuckles, so that Pac can then give him a reverse Hurricane Rana off the top rope. And when they take the bump, does Pac cover the guy? No. He jumps up and goes to the opposite turnbuckle on the other side of the ring, while Kyle Felcher is literally scooting himself on his ass into the proper position for Pac to come off the other top turnbuckle. And he took forever to get up there and get his balance, and then did a flippy, turny splash. 1, 2, 3. They beat him again. And in the fakest finish that is possible. It's like they don't comprehend Kyle laying there. He thinks that there's 10,000 people in this building and they're not going to notice him plainly and obviously scooching himself over to the ropes so that this other nitwit who's just given him a devastating finish off the top rope can do another one. He was going to win anyway. He gave him a hurricane run off the top rope on his fucking head. What the fuck? But the dead body has